talking about their favorite driver. But in any case, here we go. It's what they're all been waiting for. The gantry lights are ready. The marshal's on the left-hand side. He's already pulled away. And Jimmy Carroll's actually moved up to first. So Alex Russell's down to fourth position currently. Well, that's at least what the timings tower is telling me, but it still looks like he's up in front. No, indeed, Alex Russell is a little bit further behind. Jimmy Carroll has got the lead of this race. A pretty good start to our lap, I'd say so, Shay.
I'd say so. It seems as though Carroll's pulled way forward.
Here's Zach Battaglia on the backside of Kingston Mullings now, trying to look all over. It's the orange Toy Story looking Mustang on the outside line now of the green Mustang, and he's going around the outside line of Repsol. Can he hold it though and not get pushed off track here by Kingston Mullings? It is two drivers trying to make their way, the big Mustangs, and it is indeed Battaglia who moves up into ninth now. Russell has taken the lead of the race. He's now caught up to Carroll, and he's moved up. What a great overtake through Kyksa. The whole replay of the back and forth between them. This is through Kyksa where it starts. Earlier on the brakes there, check the dive from Alex Russell. Again, they're trading paints. It's Alex Russell and Jimmy Carroll scratching up against each other. On the inside again from Jimmy Carroll now, going on the attack against Russell. Fortunate for him there, thankfully. Doesn't lose out too much, but that's going to be quite a contention. The lead is again changing, and it's checkered flag coming through now. 25 minutes. Russell's got the lead. He has indeed won the race. Russell moves up into first after those last-minute fights.
Let's see how it goes for the start of the race as the lights come up. Hopefully this time around everyone's got their foots just a little bit more planted in their minds, and they're not going to be spinning on the first lap. As we go, green Mercedes takes first place. Mercedes have been dominating so far this entire season. So let's see how this first lap goes as they come into the first corner.
And pulled away now. Dayton Harrison's trying to keep it up in second there. And as you can see, the race of the grid pulling neatly now. Out of Repsol, that's huge contact between two cars. And that's off coming into seat. Massive damage for Coleman. Not something we wanted to see at lap number one. More contact. That's Davis. This is very early on in the replay for him. And this is obviously what put him 29 positions down. This is again through seat. So was he... Oh, there's the inside line. He gets spun around. He gets tapped by Battaglia. He gets tapped by another McLaren.
An insanely eventful lap one. I literally... Oh, it's not over. I just said that we probably weren't going to see as much spinning and binning from the first lap.
What a... I mean, I don't even know what to say about it. What a start to this race.
It's an insane start as he holds on to this fifth position spot.
Odom, we got
an incident with Odom.
This is on the exit of seat, and possibly just coming out on the curb. It's actually
Anderson.
And massive contact, and nothing Odom can do there.
I'll tell you, somebody we haven't talked about for a long time is Alex Russell.
Yeah, and he's coming back again to do what he always does.
Yeah, he's working his way back up there. He's up to 13th, probably going to take 12th from Rain Woodside here shortly.
Oh, Jim, you cursed him.
Little hip check there.
Jim, you cursed him. That's a black flag penalty.
Is it? Oh, my goodness.
And what's it going to be? Yeah, you can see it. He's gaining. He breaks to the inside line now. Hopefully not so aggressive like we saw from Burnett, but it is decently alongside, and I feel like that's a valid lunge. Bechtel up on the inside line, still trying to hold down his swope. On the outside, who will convert to the inside for the next chicane, but not enough. He's really started to extend his wings here in the Mercedes up in ninth position. Laverin and Burnett. Here we go, Jim. You just mentioned it. They're going side by side up into Worth now. He's got the inside line for the Ferrari, and he's going to make it work. Where there's literally... Oh, and there's something more to talk about. Troy Anderson. Oh, man. What on earth is going on? Oh, Russell's got another black flag.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, my God. Flag. My goodness. When there's too much to talk about, it's like suffering from success. It's just you can't get everything down, unfortunately. And talking about getting everything down, Parks Miller, checkered flag in P number 1. The action has been absolutely immense here. Kovac, no, don't come in, Kovac. Oh, okay.
And the green is off. Race begins. We have Peterson leading the front with Ballas-Pala in the back. Ballas-Pala being usually quite aggressive. I wonder if this first lap is going to breed any of that aggression. Everyone piling into the first turn and very clean.
Might just be a bit of a... There we go. We're back to live racing. I think it was the...
This is Pala.
This is the replay. There's Pala. What is it going to be for Dragotta? He's looking all over now. The white Mustang. Will he make a leap onto the inside line? Presley's having to defend against Ivanov. There's loads of gravel all over the circuit that they've got to watch out for. In today's race, we did have 43 in our AM class, but we've got 42 here Sorry, 32
Oh!
in. Oh, and then somebody off. That's Tyler King who's been booted off, and also Cameron Brown who's lost out. And they're going to try and rejoin. Dangerous rejoin though. There you can see the front nose of the Mustang. Is it going to be enough to make a dive up on the inside? He's still got the slowdown penalty, so he hasn't done enough. And there comes Dragotta diving on the inside line. He saw the penalty advantage. They are side by side though. Ivanov has now officially served his penalty, and he reclaims that spot. Joining in on this three-way, and Ivanov is just going to continue to run. 2 seconds of a gap now between himself and Dragotta, and it's only going to extend. But yeah, Tyler Carr now on the outside line of Renault, coming up to Repsol. He's got the outside. He's got the position made on the live timings tower, but Dragotta does have the inside into the next corner, holding on the outside line. Slightly later on the brakes there for Ivanov. For Tyler Carr, trying to make his way around into the inside for the seat corner, and it looks like he might have this.
The fact that we've got the inverted field and this all of a sudden becomes a battle for the pole. As you see, Ivanov making an inside move there on him.
And he's going to do everything he can to try and get ahead again. On the last second, here it comes. It's the late-minute dive on the inside of Worth, and he's going to go bumper to bumper there. It's a little bit shoulder contact with Gabriel Ivanov. Where is Peterson? Is this going to be another lap? I think this might just be that. No, it's checkered flag. He just makes it to the checkered flag on the 25-minute marker. Peterson to Joff, to Grabowski, to Hooverson. And now we come across to the checkered flag line. Watch for Joff. He's going to launch. And there he's already launched. Joff has pulled the car. And just on the exit of the corner, we're going green now. But Joff is well ahead now. Good little bit of distance he's made. About 3. Savio Pinicha has moved up. And Gulam Andre's lost out now. It's side by side between the two. Sorry, Cadence Presley up in front, not Joff. I'm used to only seeing one Corvette out on track. And now Presley will have a bit of competition from Savio Pinicha.
Hooverson holding his own up there as well, up in P3. I think that
the leader just spun. Just trying to see what. Just overcooked it in there a little bit in the back. That's a Corvette. That's a Corvette move right there.
Joff tries to get the undercut on the number 41, but gets forced wide yet again, and he'll have to settle for 4th for the time being.
Yeah, and Hooverson got a little out of shape there, and all of a sudden, Grabowski is all over him.
Yeah, and talking about out of shape, yellow flag for Hooverson as well. So another slowdown penalty. He's going to lose out to Joff as well because of that slowdown. So,
oh, here we go. Grabowski's trying to make a move here.
And there we go. There comes the outside line, and I don't know if Nietzsche's going to be able to defend this one. As Grabowski now holding that outside line. Is he going to be able to make it stick? He's on the inside now for the next corner, coming towards New Holland. And he seems like he's going to be able to hold it. Here comes the danger, though, because Pala is alongside. A bit of a tap there from Benicia.
What you saw there was exactly that experience. Benicia had moved over to defend, and he got... Oh, they're off.
Oh, he's off. Yeah, I thought something went on quite huge here. That's Joff. He's been completely taken out. There you can see Nikolai Peterson has joined the fight behind them, and this is with Greg Hooverson.
Oh, he got out on the curb.
Joff goes outside, Peterson got inside, and indeed he does just get smacked, and that's the pit maneuver. Benicia gets a slowdown, and I think that's going to put Peterson up into 2nd position. Indeed it is. 5 minutes left to go, 1.6 seconds of a distance. Can Peterson do it? Yeah.
That right there is an American racing move right there. Put that bumper on him. But Hooverson's going to take advantage of that. And I believe he's going to get Dragotta right here.
Yeah, he is. He's gone the inside line. He's got it.
I'll quote somebody who said one time he's flashing his lights right there like, oh no!
Oh, that's Grabowski. Grabowski's lost it out of seat. Same thing that Presley did at the start of this race. So, oh my gosh, Dennis Grabowski's lost out, and Peterson moves up into 1st. Benicia 2nd. Dragotta he's now fighting for 3rd position. This is the battle for the podium spot, and he looks like he might have it because Peterson's under pressure now from Andre. What a switchback, though. My goodness, Hooverson switchback.
Wrecked him.
Contact.
Come on.
That is so unfortunate, man. Oh, it was looking like such a good battle between the two of them.
An unbelievable switchback move. Like, I mean, we both gasped when he did it. I mean, it was fantastic.
Oh, Hooverson gets a black flag. Hooverson black flag penalty now. Oh, and that is officially a checkered flag waved for Peterson. What a great turn of events for himself.
Wow.
From 8th position all the way up into 1st. We're officially done and dusted with Barcelona. And the second last time you'll be seeing Format B this season. We head to Donington Park next week. Format A will be coming to you live. And a very technical circuit. If you've been wanting to watch something that's going to throw some curveballs, definitely be there. We go racing for yet another time around the track, and this time around at a bit of a familiar circuit, Donington Park, one of our other commentators' favorite circuits, and he's made sure that he's here this time. And we're looking good for round number 6 of the league by Foxxtecca, season number 2. My name is Tristan Earps. Joining me in the commentary box is Matthew Duffin, who is back this week, and Shay Wilson, who will also be joining us back. He was with us last week, and Jim Cunningham, our producer in the background, is here, like always, bringing you all the camera angles and shots. But welcome into round number 6. We are 2 rounds away from closing off the league by Foxxtecca season number 2. I cannot lie to you, I'm a little bit upset. If you know me and Matthew, you know how much we absolutely love the league by Foxxtecca, and to hear that it's coming to an end again is a rather unfortunate one. But the racing is good, and there'll definitely be another season upcoming in the future. But second last round, it is Format A tonight, which means that we've got a single 1-hour race per class. There will not be 2 35 and 25-minute races in the top 8 split. That's Format B. And as you can see, we've got a slightly unpredictable circuit here, a wet Donington Park. Matthew, how are we feeling here for your home race?
Well, I'm absolutely ecstatic. I can't wait to get this one going. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Missed you all last week, and it's great to be back in the box, just back in the box for this evening. But a wet Donington Park, I can tell you I've spent many a camping visits on a wet Donington Park, more wet than sunny, unfortunately. This is going to be an exciting race this evening. It's going to provide us lots of thrills and spills around what I think some of the British tracks, bar Silverstone, provide you with tight, close racing. And I think that Donington in the wet is going to challenge these drivers tonight. You're going to see the best of the best, the cream of the crop rise to the top of the races here this afternoon, because Donington Park, very tricky in the dry, even worse in the wet.
And if you were here last week for Barcelona, you'll know that Shay actually was tossed in for his first ever full solo not solo, but full co-commentating stint. And can't lie to you, he did a great job. He got thrown with a couple of technical issues, but I think he's resolved them. Shay, how are you thinking for today's racing here at Wet Donington?
I'm excited. Donington Park is one of those tracks that I actually remember from my childhood. The first time I ever raced on this track or heard of it was in Need for Speed Shift 2. And it was one of the hardest tracks I'd ever raced on. Never saw anything so narrow, didn't know how I was going to make passes, and I'm really excited to see how these guys make it out today, especially with the weather.
Exactly, especially the weather. It's going to play into being a bit of a tricky one. We've got the points ready for you, though, for our AM class. Pro will be obviously when the Pro class is ready. But here's your AM class standings coming out of Barcelona. It is Mayo Dianarin who still sits up in pole, the Mr. Livery man, as we've given him the nickname. 368 points up at the top. Caden Parks-Miller will round off in second position, 334 points, very close behind. Jimmy Carroll will take third position, and Alex Russell down in fourth. Troy Anderson, one of the virtual grandstand favorites, up into fifth position for the Velocity Server Racing team. 290 points to his name, and Evan Davis will round in top 6. Andre Saba will be in 7th, and Pio Valencia down in 8th position. Clayton Sanchez, Zachary Battaglia in 9th and 10th. And that rounds off your top 10. You can see the rest of our current championship standings from 11th down to 18th. Next week, we'll go through a bit more of a detailed breakdown of the standings as we head into our penultimate round, but we've still got a bit more action coming here on the second final round at Donington Park. But boy, I am excited to see what kind of action we see here today, Matthew.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting one. The drivers obviously may not have raced Donington Park too much. It's not a circuit in iRacing that you see a lot of. Not a circuit that, unless you kind of in the United Kingdom, in Great Britain, you will know a lot of. It's one of them circuits that is very much going to the British crowd, the British fans. And let's see what we can find tonight.
Yeah, let's see what we can find tonight, indeed. And I think it's going to be a great round of racing. But one thing to note about Donington Park, it is a very, very technical circuit. Much narrower than a standard circuit, even narrower than Silverstone comes in. And from what we've seen, according to European and American standard tracks, where the track layout is slightly wider, it is completely condensed for today's racing. So the drivers, it is going to be slightly more difficult for overtaking procedure, especially with that wet tarmac coming into play, and the drivers will have to be very careful with where they plant those overtakes. We've also got a couple of puddles forming on the left and right hand sides of the track, and we know what puddles can do during racing. If you try and break into a puddle, well, it might not be the best outcome for you.
And you've got to watch around this circuit just where the puddles forming. Like you said, they're forming on the left hand, some parts of the right hand side of the circuit. Around here at Donington, very tight circuit. So if you go offline to try and make that overtake, you've got to be careful to not hit them puddles, aquaplane a little bit off onto the grass or the gravel on the outsides. You can see they're coming through the fog ATSs. A lot of standing water in the middle of that chicane. This track will punish you if you are 1 millimeter offline.
Yeah, and you can definitely visualize that as we still head into about 7 minutes through to qualifying. You'll get your live timing board up on the left to see where the drivers currently plant themselves. But it is currently Mehdi Nareen, the championship leader, will be starting out strong with a 136.1. 7 tenths ahead of second position. Kenton Young currently has his best qualifying time so far planted in the AM division, up in second. And Alex Russell will sit third. Caden Fox Miller now sets a new time up into fourth. He will go. But they're struggling slightly as to what Dionarine can do. Carroll comes in at third, and that's a great time from Young. The fact that Carroll, Russell, and Parks Miller, as well as Davis, have not been able to better him yet. So 3 minutes left on the clock. We'll have to see what they can do to potentially try and contest the championship leader.
And that's the thing around here. You know, the wetter this surface gets, the more time you're going to lose. But to also the track positions, we've got a lot of drivers on this grid still. So you've got to make sure you're in a great track position around this circuit to get that lap time set. It's not a very long lap. One isn't long by any stretch of the imagination. So you've got to make sure you're on it for the lap you try and set. As here is Keaton Young rounding the final corner as we now drop down back to Parks Miller, who's had a good season, hasn't he, this season? Obviously, we're coming to the end. We're disappointed that we're coming to the end of season 2. But Parks Miller's had a really interesting season.
Yeah, he definitely has. He's had a couple of ups and downs, and he's managed to plant it around the top 5. And coming towards the end, that's going to play a crucial role for himself. But, I mean, Shay, we head to 2 minutes left of this qualifying session, and the top 3 is looking slightly different to what we normally see. So, I mean, do you think that could change up the race start for today's racing?
I think that it not only could change up the race start, but I think that we can see a maybe slightly varied finish. I know these guys are all very, very fast, but we're usually seeing these guys in dry weather. You know, when wet comes out, it always changes the characteristics of a race and the characteristics of each individual that's in there.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. It is indeed true that the rain does bring out the slightly better side of racing. In terms of skill level, it really does test those drivers, especially when it comes to car control and rear end traction, especially in those rear end vehicles like the Porsche and the mid engines. They will tend to have slightly more playful rear ends. The front engine cars will be slightly more planted in the rain, and they'll have that slight advantage. But for the time being, 1 minute left of qualifying. Mehdi Nareen is still up ahead with that 135.7, a full second ahead of Kenton Young in second position with a 136.788. And currently, lots of the drivers unable to get a pretty swift lap time. So a few of them just struggling to find the grips out here at Donington Park.
And I think this really swings in the way of Dionarine. Another pole position to his name. If he can get a good race start, get a good clean race under his belt, this championship, you just have to think, coming into these dying stages of the season, does this just sway towards Dionarine? We know we go back to, I believe, Format B next week, then back to Format A for the season finale. So does this just swing in his way a little bit? Qualifying's one thing. He's got to get the race nailed with the start and make sure he can, build a gap and keep the cars behind him. But you just have to wonder, Tristan. You just have to wonder, does this kind of go in his favour for this championship? We know Russell has made mistakes, been involved in incidents, had his own incidents. Dionarine has kind of been that one solid, consistent driver.
Yeah, Dionarine has definitely proved himself in the championship so far. Like Matthew is saying, a little bit more consistent than our other competitors like Carroll, Parks Miller, and Russell. So I think he's definitely got that upper hand, and we'll have to see how that goes. But I believe we have officially moved over to our feature race slot, and so the times are looking good. I think we might have time to do the track map now, if all plays for him. Just trying to listen. We don't, unfortunately. But here's our starting procedure. It is Mehdi Nareen up in front with Kenton Young in second. Caden Box Miller will be in third position, followed by Jimmy Carroll in fourth. Alex Russell will be in fifth position, with Troy Anderson down in sixth. Evan Davis, seventh position for him, and Andre Saba will be in eighth. Paul Collishaw will take ninth for the Tuma Racing team, and Zach Battaglia will be in 10th position. Kingston Mullings, 11th position. He's on your interview later today, and Kamari Odom will be in 12th. From 13th down, though, we've got a couple more running still. It's Dayton Harrison up in 13th. Aaron Sunday will be taking 14th position. Julian Reese in 15th, followed by Uwe Sanderigama in 16th position. Shelton Lewis from the Clutches Night Crew in 17th. There's your leader, Shea, followed by Joe Coleman in 18th, and Alan Ware down in 19th position. Benjamin Bechtel, 20th position for himself, and Lewis Holloway will be starting in 21st. Thomas Natali, 22nd for him, and Ken Majuri in 23rd. Zachary Wood will be taking 24th. From 25th onwards, though, we've still got a couple of drivers. A huge grade for today's racing. Edward Ramirez from Clutches Night Crew will take 25th. Justin Klubine, 26th, with Jacob Swope starting off in 27th. Ethan Arfide will take 28th, and Landon Batson in 29th. Jacob Perry takes 30th, and Jesse Lavrin from Castor and Canberra and Castor, down in 31st. Alexis Barrington, 32nd, and Kristen Montgomery in 33rd. The two female drivers lining up almost alongside each other, and Samuel Burnett down in 34th. Richard Soderski down in 35th, and Timothy Judabel, one of the drivers we haven't seen yet too much this season, has come for Donington Park. John Smallwood will take 37th, and Louis Martinez, the final driver on today's grid, in 38th position. So that rounds off your 38-car grid, slightly smaller than last week. And a thing to notice, Matthew, is I think Dianarine's got yet another livery for today's racing.
Oh, well, I'm not surprised. Why wouldn't you run a special livery for the most special circuit on the calendar this season? Looking forward to... Did he?
He did. He did tell us to watch for his next livery anyway. He did warn us.
There we go. So he's picked it for Donington Park. What a choice that is. 38 cars around here, by the way. This is going to be absolutely brilliant to see, especially in this AM category at the moment. And folks watching in the virtual grandstand, Tristan is our eyes and ears tonight, along with Shay, because I've suffered with electrical problems at home. So the commentary box tonight is watching the broadcast on my phone, commentating through my PlayStation. It's not ideal, but I had to make it for Donington Park. So Tristan is carrying the flag for us commentators in the box night. You can just see the different wet patches on the circuit, and this is where drivers have got to be really careful. As Tristan, I'll let you take the lead.
Yeah, they're coming across the final corner now. The pace car is officially in, and we'll wait to see when Dianarine drops that throttle pedal. Indeed, he's done it already, and he's managed to get the jump there. On the background, you can see that Carroll is trying to keep up, and Kenton Young has unfortunately lost that position going into turn number 1, swooping on the right-hand corner, and it is Dianarine who will hold that through Redgate. Coming up, though, towards Hollywood, and he has got a massive starting lead compared to the drivers up behind. Let's hope that we can have a relatively clean start to this race. There's Troy Anderson and a couple more. Battaglia gets an overtake, though, on the inside corner, and the rest all follow in suite as they go towards Old Hairpin, and a couple of the rest still following on behind. It's looking relatively clean, though, and I'm liking what I'm seeing here at Wet Donington. The drivers are being very cautious through the couple of first corners, and they're not trying to take aggressive overtakes, but it is still Dianarine, 8/10 up currently for the lead as they go through Starkley's Bridge and up to McLean's now, and the rest behind all trying to follow in the line of Dianarine in that all amazing livery. And you can see he's got the huge UK flag on the top, so he's definitely representing here in terms of track. The Canadian is trying to fit in as a local hero as they continue on the back straight now, going towards the Fogarty S's, and it's a great start so far for the drivers.
Yeah, what a start in this race it's been. You saw a couple of cars side by side down the Craner curves, very difficult in the dry, even harder in the wet, so the fact that we've got a great clean start has been fantastic. But Dianarine got the start he needed to do. He now got to manage this race to keep doing what he's doing as they come through the Fogarty S's for the first time down towards the Melbourne. We see now the leader of Dianarine is up in towards Goddard's, the final corner, slightly off camber, just dips down to that left-hand side towards the inside curb. Very easy to get the power down too early out of there and lose that traction, but Dianarine already within some 9/10 of a second in the lead of this race. He is on an absolute mission out front. This is Keaton Young, who's held on to third place pretty well. Can he stick with the leaders? That's going to be the question.
Yeah, it's going to be the question indeed, and he's going to have to try and keep it up. But apologies to all the members in the virtual grandstand. I see we've gotten such an amazing amount of people already going ham in the virtual grandstand, and so many shout-outs going to all our drivers. Landon Batson's there. Aaron Sunday's being supported again by his wife and team manager, which is always great to see. Davis is in there. The Clutches Night Crew is being commended up in there. So Anderson's gone off, unfortunately, though. As soon as I was talking about him, I was just about to mention him being the virtual grandstand hero, and he's just lost a couple of spots off the wet here at Donington Park. He's managed to keep it on the track, though, thankfully. and will continue around. But to all those in the virtual grandstand, know that you are seen. Apologies that we're not going through all the messages. We're trying to focus on all the racing, but it is Battaglia and Mullings who are pushing each other off the track now, and Mullings will remain in the lead, but Battaglia is slow, and he's going to be under pressure now from Saba from behind. He's got to watch out now as they head on the back straight.
And that was so crucial for Kingston Mullins. Through Coppice Corner, they went down the old back straight as they go side by side now. That is Odom going up the inside of Anderson, then through the Fogger TS's. Good little move that there from Odom in the Porsche. Porsche could be strong here in this final sector in particular. A lot of traction zones for that Porsche to use its superior advantage. And who's that with a huge end in the black McLaren just behind this of Sunday? That was Lewis, who's made a big send up the inside into the Melbourne loop, and great move from the McLaren there as they enter in towards Goddard's. Just got to be patient through it. Look at the water on the circuit on the inside there. It's pooling up on that inside curb. And just behind Sunday, it's kicking off between Rice and Lewis here. Then side by side, BMW versus the McLaren. And up the inside, the McLaren into Redgate they go again. Beautiful bit of racing. Drivers just being a little extra cautious here. Risco gets the up and under down through Hollywood into the Craner curves. Moves already done. And yeah, that's pretty wise from... He's going to have to fight that one another day. We've got Kingston Mullings. He's dropping down the order. He's gone off at the old hairpin. And where that looks like it's been, he's probably outbraked himself going into the old hairpin, and he's gone straight on out the Craner curves.
Yeah, looks like a bit of a rear end loss there for Kingston Mullings, possibly losing the car off into the gravel. Thankfully, there is a trap for that, and he doesn't end up in a wall or a tyre barrier, so no damage on that Mustang, just a little bit of gravel being carried around track. Somebody else is off. And it's Landon Batson, the young gun, who's all over the virtual grandstand, has unfortunately lost it on the rear of that Porsche. I did mention that the rear and the mid-engine cars will have a slightly rougher time out here. They'll have a bit too much rotation in the rain, and they're going to have to watch out. Samuel Burnett moves up into 24th position. And I think I wanted to mention something also Sunday. We saw him playing that consistency game last week in Barcelona. He made so many passive positions, and so let's hope he can do it again here today. As a great dive up on the inside for Burnett through the chicane, and what a great overtake to take 23rd position. He'll continue pushing up. Swiderski is into 32nd, 3 positions up, and he's trying to keep onto the backside train of a couple of other cars as they keep on going on. But something to mention about Dianarine's livery, it is a throwback from a 1965 Lotus car. And that's where that green and gold comes from. I was trying to think of where it comes from, and I believe one of the members of the Dio Racing or the Dio Bros have come in and let us know. So what a great collab there with the good old Lotus, and we know it used to dominate the British circuits. Yeah, probably a Jim Clark livery like our producer's saying. So great work again from Dianarine. If he doesn't pull off something new next week, I'm going to be upset. You better pull out the big guns, as Haley Batson now trying to cheer on Landon Batson, just trying to get him to go and keep on pushing, even though he's lost it. He's got a full hour left here that he's got to try and work on that.
You know,
yeah, he has. Good. Sorry.
For all the time that Batson's put into this series, whether he comes out on top or not, I think he's going to have learned so much that if he participates in the next series or any other series that he enters, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, completely agree. You know, he's 7 years of age, I believe it is, and you know, he's only going to grow strength to strength. The more fields like this that he races in, the more competitive races he gets under his belt. I always say to people as a driver, it's not about how fast you are to start with, it's about that seat time. The more seat time you get, the more you learn a racecraft, the more you can find pace, the more you start to just pick up that flow and rhythm. As we see here, this is Luis Martinez, a little all over the place. Something, he's on dry tyres, we're being told by our producer. He's gone back to the pit lane, so that might have been a mistake when he started this race. But yeah, what a special grid. He's out, he's left. That's him gone from the lobby. He's not coming back out of the pits to continue on this one. As the aerial shots of Donington Park, we see the rain still falling. Look at it down the Craner curves there. The standing water at the bottom of the hill going into Old Hairpin is insane. As they climb back up though through the Schwantz curve in towards McLean's goes Dianarine, still leading this race. You've got to be careful at Donington as well, Tristan, because you have to use some of the outside curbs to keep that momentum through the corner. As we take a look at a replay, this is Laverin and Ware. So this is coming through the Melbourne loop in towards Goddard's they go. So what's just happened here into the final corner where, just doesn't slow the car down in time, and Lavrin goes around. But as I was saying, Tristan, you've got to use them outside curbs to carry that momentum through a lot of the corners here at Donington Park. That's going to be very tricky with a lot of standing water on them.
Yeah, and we know curbs are notorious for holding water. It's a bit more of a glossy surface compared to tarmac. And the issue with the curbs is that if you do try to brake too much on them, unfortunately, that car is going to want to try and over-rotate itself. And so, like you say, that the curbs are needed for the rotation here at Donington Park. But is it worth the sacrifice of possibly losing it? And I think that might have been what happened to Kingston Mullings a couple of laps earlier, is on the outside line, just trying to brake on the curb and completely throwing the backside of the car out, and obviously being thrown off into the gravel. And so unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be the first time we see that here tonight. Is Jesse Lavrin behind, I believe. Sorry, it was all the way. Another car. That's Kingston Mullings again around, and he's trying to recover himself, but in the process, taking his front bumper out on the barriers and almost making contact with a bunch of other cars there. Thankfully, not too much damage. Well, obviously there's damage over in front, but not too much damage on other vehicles around the track. But Kingston Mullings' race has gone from bad to worse. Unfortunately, the rain is proving a little bit difficult there for the younger lad, and he's trying to just navigate himself around the track now. 9 minutes in, though. We are not even a tenth of the way through, and the racing is definitely scaling at hard here. Saba up in front in ninth with Odom behind, and Harrison is dropping slightly as well. Harrison's definitely gone off somewhere down in 15th. Lost over 3 positions now in the past seconds, so a couple of the drivers just really struggling to find their strides here around the Donington Park. Here's Harrison, a little bit of an off track, I believe, in the Mustang, and this is coming through those curbs, the curves, and onto the left-hand side. And there you see that standing water puddle, and just enough to over-rotate the car into the gravel. He will go, and fortunately, again, able to keep it out of the wall. So good job from him.
Yeah, and that looks like he's just carried too much speed down the Craner curves, and it just looks like the rear's gone round on him. It actually is a lot tighter than what it looks down the Craner curves. That left-hander, before you hit the brakes into the old hairpin, really does tighten up, so it just looks like he's carried too much speed, hit that puddle, rear's come around. Who's saying he's out of the race now? It is Keaton Young, who is out of this race. What a shame, because he was running in P3. I tell you, the man to watch, Paul Collishaw, British man, he'll know Donington Park pretty well, and he'll probably know these conditions quite well as well, so keep our eyes on what he can do. But what has happened to Young? He is out of this race, and look at this gaggle of cars. As you see, the rain continues to pour here at Donington Park, down at the bottom of the Craner curves here. That's coming through the old hairpin. The puddle on the inside is absolutely crazy as he's back, so it must have been a blip in the internet for Keaton Young there. Through the Schwantz curve, there you go, into McLean's for Keaton Young. Not doing a bad job at the moment. He's got Russell just under a second, but Russell's not really attacked him early on in this race.
No, we haven't seen the normal Russell that we usually see coming in and overdriving the car. I think he's gone back a little bit and done a bit of a season review, and just seen what's gone wrong in the previous rounds. And I think we've mentioned it in past broadcasts, is that he's just been trying to overdrive that Mercedes a bit too much, and especially in the rain here, overdriving is going to do nothing but take you off of the track. So Russell possibly trying to be a bit more conservative. Here is Anderson trying to get back up to the top and fighting alongside Andre Saba now, coming down towards the Foxxtecca S's, and he'll have the inside line, but it's a far lunge if he does want to take it. And no, Saba will claim the inside line there and move up and stay up in 10th position. So Anderson has got to work really hard here to try and get past the big Mustang. It is mid-engine versus front engine. And let's see what Troy Anderson can do. He's going to have the better rotation, but he's got to watch out for over-rotation, especially during the wet parts of the track. Well, that's currently everywhere all over the track, but more especially in the heavily puddled sections like we see in those Craner curves. He's got to watch out for there. Dean he's lost the lead. He's got a slowdown penalty, so Dean Areen's gone off somewhere. And Parks Miller has now claimed the lead of this race, which is great work from him. But what has happened to Dean Areen? It was a couple of seconds ago. Obviously lost the car somewhere.
Yeah, so this is coming through. This is on the way up to Goddard's now, the final corner. Let's take a look at what happens here. On the brakes, oh my days, from the back marker into the rear of Dean, and it puts him onto the part of the circuit. They relocated the chicane a bit further up. And wow, that was a huge... Not sure what he got the slowdown for, though. Has he taken track limits through turn number 1, or would that have given him the track limits from that final chicane? So yeah, so maybe that's given him for being knocked off the circuit. We'll take one more look at this, but the back marker just so much later on the brakes, as we're on board with Jacob Perry at the moment. This is coming up into McLaren's. Good overtake from the Ferrari there. Beautiful touring car-esque. Right, so here's Deanna. Look at how far of a gap he's got over the McLaren behind him, and just the McLaren so late brakes doesn't get the car stopped to bang onto the national start, through the national exit of the chicane, and yeah, that's possibly what he's got the slowdown for, actually returning from the wrong part of the circuit. That would have been the national layout. He's got rid of his slowdown, thankfully. Russell has got past Young, because Young has dropped down to 5th behind Collishaw. Said keep your eyes on Collishaw, the Brit. He's the man who's on the move. He's at positions at the moment, is P4 man Collishaw. Or Livery as well there, Tristan. So doing well as that's a lap for and Keaton Young just outbraked himself into turn 1. Driver's starting to struggle.
Yeah, I think it was following the lines of Burnett there, and they kind of followed each other off track. So unfortunate from Kenton Young. I do maybe want to see which McLaren that possibly was with Dean Arena. I think it might. Oh, there goes Kenton Young on the curb as we talk about it. And just braking on the left-hand curb, you literally saw it. And losing the rear end and off the track, he will go falling down the order now from 2nd all the way down to 7th. He loses out to Battaglia and Davis now as he tries to keep it on track. Very unfortunate though for Kenton Young, and he's going to have to try and work his way back up. But I believe it might have been, and I'm not taking this 100% as I don't know which McLaren it was, but potentially Alexis Barrington, who was involved there with Dean Arena. I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to switch around to look at liveries. No, there's Alexis Barrington. That's a purple car, not her. It was the Marlboro. There it is. It's Mr. Ethan Harford, unfortunately, and you can see the damage on the front side of that McLaren. He is limping it back to the pit lane. And just unfortunately, and yep, there's the damage showing itself through the chicane. He goes, unfortunately. Yes, Shay.
So that was a very unfortunate crash, but I kind of giggled a little bit because, as you mentioned, Alexis, I remember there was a point in time when I first trained with the Clutch Night crew where we had like a misstep and she smashed into the back of my car, and I've never let it go.
Well, it got replicated here, it seems. So we have lots of drivers still in the background here. Ethan Harford. We've this is a bit of a sequence of incidents happened. This is Jimmy Carroll. Alex Russell is up ahead, and there's Kenton Young. So there's Alex Russell up ahead, and he's just come off on the left-hand side of the track. Was there possibly contact? Jimmy Carroll on the inside line now. Very deep dive. Oh, and just tapping the backside of Kenton Young. Far too late on the brakes for that, and actually just carrying him off the track. That's a free overtake, double overtake for Collishaw, as the Brit is moving up, and the calls are coming in from Duffin, as Matthew is calling that Collishaw is going to climb here, and he's doing that indeed.
Yeah, and again, just for Jimmy Carroll there, just a little silly move, a little optimistic. And these two hairpins, I'm not a big fan of the two hairpins of Donington Park GP circuit. Kind of interrupts the flow of Donington. What it invites as well, though, these two hairpins, Goddard's and the Melbourne Loop, is it invites a few little dive bombs, and we've just seen a couple of dive bombs tonight into the hairpins. Unnecessary. Some have come off, some haven't, like that one there. And yeah, sadly for Young there, he's just fell foul of being tapped and losing 2 places. And then he's had the spin at the old hairpin. This is Deanna Reen, though, as you can see there. Parks Miller just a little slidey on the rear end. Mercedes-Benz up towards Goddard's. There you go. This is lap number 10. Deanna Reen the out. Gonna look for the up and under. He don't want the up and under here, because he'd rob inside line for Redgate, backs out of that and doesn't get the run out of Goddard he needs, as Pox Miller just disappears momentarily and reappears in front of him as the spray. Look at that kicking up. Absolutely beautiful scenes. You wouldn't want to be anywhere else at Donington Park, because it was never sunny when I've been there. So normal Donington Park weather here this week at the league by Foxxtecca. And what a race these guys are putting on. A close gap between the top 5 here. There's not a lot between them. One mistake, one error, and this lead could change hands very quickly.
I think you were talking about that. I think I saw a comment in the virtual grandstand. Someone was saying, "Wow, it's raining at Donington Park. I'm so surprised." That it's like you were saying you haven't come to Donington when it's dry, and unfortunately the UK does experience the rain. But Dean Arena, and apparently he's also dropped something. He's saying Hans device needed as he tries to pull in second position and further up on the grid. But yeah, Parks Miller's got to watch out now. He is starting to get closed on very quickly. And the big thing about Dean Arena is I think he got a bit lucky during that netcode during the incident. Oh, Russell comes up on the inside line. That almost looked like it could have been contact, and Russell actually goes off. A bit too much of an optimistic dive, and that's a slowdown penalty that he's going to have to serve. But what I was saying about Dean Reed, I mean, he got clubbed pretty hard in the backside of that Mercedes, and yet he's driving it like there's no damage. So I think the netcode played pretty well there for him. He didn't lose any of the spoilers or back compartments, and he continues to go on. Reese finds himself in the gravel after the Fogarty curves, the chicanes there, and we'll have to see if he can manage to recover himself. Paul Collishaw, though, currently your man to watch. 5 positions up, apologies. 4th position overall, and chasing on the front, who are slightly less consistent here than the Prince Stream Porsche.
Yeah, driving a great race is Paul Collishaw at the moment, up 5 places, like you say, and that Porsche is just being able to do a few different things, especially in that last sector at the moment. But the interesting thing to note here, we go back to that Russell dive on DNRE just a moment ago. If you don't have a part of your car alongside the next car, back out of that move, because it is not going to happen here at Donington Park. It will not allow you. I think that was the multi...
Yeah, it's
off at the bottom of your screen. Yeah, you've got to have an overlap over the car you're trying to overtake, otherwise it will not happen around Donington Park. The corners come up way too quick. The straights, they're a good length, but nothing special as we get to see what happens here. This is Dave Harrison down into the Melbourne hairpin once again. And what happens here? Just touches that inside curb, and just as he wants to start to apply that throttle, the car goes round, and that'll probably be one of the slowest spins of his career.
Yeah, possibly would be. Very, very slow rotation, but unfortunately this is the Bechtel that we saw, the incident with Bechtel that we saw a couple of seconds ago at the bottom of your screen, and this is again on the curb. You can see it on the outside. It's the left-hand tire, just touches it during the braking, and it's enough to throw the car completely off. He got a bit of a better hand there. He didn't go so far into the gravel, just a bit onto the grass, and he's able to recover it. Davis gets himself a slowdown as well, unfortunately, as Kenton Young is trying to work his way back up, and Davis will now be working. Russell is up in 3rd position, still chasing onto the backside of Parks Miller, and Dean has gotten into the lead of this race. He is under contention though from Parks Miller and Russell, but he is officially back up into the lead of the race in that Lotus-inspired livery, trying to keep it up. You can see there's a bit of damage on the backside of his car. The bumper is slightly warped, but it's definitely not a lot. Not a lot compared to, I mean, the scale of incident that he had. I mean, that McLaren came at quite a speed on the back end, and this is the pass for the lead back and forth between Parks Miller and Dean, and so this is coming out of the Fogarty chicane over here, down towards the hairpin. At Melbourne hairpin, and oh, what a switchback move from Mayo Dean. There's a little bit of contact there though, and then Parks Miller will get up ahead, and now coming towards the likes of Goddard's, and Mayo Dean again has the inside line, and I think this is where he claims it officially from Parks Miller, holding that inside line now, not letting the other Mercedes get the advantage. A bit more bumper to bumper action from the backside, but Mayo Dean keeps that lead, and now hoping to extend it.
Yeah, he is hoping to extend it. Russell was on the back, though, of Parks Miller, just coming through into Redgate corner of turn number 1 then. And Paul Collishaw wasn't a million miles behind. As we go back to the live action, there's Dean, there's Collishaw's within 0.3 now of Russell. So this Porsche just starting to do bits, and Paul Collishaw knows what he's got to do here at Donington Park. He'll know the weather, he'll know the track, he'll know how this drives. More so than I think over the likes of the Canadian drivers who may not have driven Donington Park a lot, if at all. So for Collishaw, he's got a real advantage by just home advantage, I suppose, at the moment in this race. But he's got to get past Russell, and it's not easy in this wet condition.
No, definitely not. It's going to be a bit of a challenge, and we know Russell as a driver is that he doesn't want to sacrifice any positions that he doesn't need to. So we're going to have to see what Collishaw can do here, but it's either going to be an overtake out of a mistake being made by Russell, or he's going to make it on a pure overtake, but that's going to be the difficult part. Kenton Young again goes wide into turn number 1 and loses another position from Davis there, and so he loses out. Battaglia is also up into 6th position. Sunday is also up into 11th. The Mr. Consistency at the back there has already moved up 3 positions, and he's keeping strong now. Lewis is into the pit lane, the first of the pit stops. There will be a mandatory pit stop in this race, and Lewis, the first one in. Those wets can only handle so much out on track. Anderson has managed to get up into 10th position now, and he's trying to climb back up towards the top 5, hopefully, as we still see Kenton Young from the RS Designs team trying to find his way around the track here. Judable also moves up now due to Lewis going into the pit lane. A couple of slowdowns, Reese and Natali, and Odom currently holding off in 9th position. But Judable, the driver who we haven't seen that much here, has come to Donington Park, and he's coming for vengeance. 17 positions up from the Race 4 G Sports team, and he is on a mission here to try and get into the top 15.
He is as well, and I can't remember the driver who's just been into the pits, but that is way too early. It was Lewis, wasn't it? That is way too early for the pit stop. Young's back up into 7th place, but Judable here just having Kingston Mullins unlap himself at the moment, as Young now loses back out to Davis on the timing tower. So Judable up 17 spots. Great start to this Donington race with 23 minutes in, and this is this is Keaton Young going wheel to wheel with Davis through the Goddard hairpin. There you go. That's a lovely little move for Keaton Young, back up into 7th place on a somewhat of a recovery drive now.
Yeah, great move up on the inside there from Kenton Young. Battalia's up ahead now, 3.5 seconds of a drive there, and Davis will be trying to claim that position back. He has indeed, and Kenton Young has lost it again going into turn number 1, and he actually makes contact with Odom. And so Kenton Young just struggling on that turn 1 braking zone, as he's just completely forfeited that position, and he's opened the door from behind for Anderson and Odom. And so he's going to have to work hard to try and break up through this, as we'll have to watch out what he can do. But I mean, Shay, we've gone through about 25 minutes of racing here. We're almost at the halfway mark, and that pit window will be coming up. What are we expecting to see here as we approach the halfway?
Well, someone who's thinking a little bit less realistically would say better weather.
Oh, it's a flip. Oh my goodness, that is a huge incident. Apologies about that, Shay. That is someone who's just taken the gravel. Oh, Landon Batson.
Talking about the weather and just casually, and suddenly Batson's flipping all through the field. What happened? Can we get a replay on that?
Yeah, that was Batson. Yeah.
I've got a feeling he's touched the outside curb going into the Fogger TSs there, and as he's gone across the gravel, Porsche's just dug in. Let's take a look now. We'll see what's happened. So coming down the back straight, what used to be known as the Dunlop Straight back in the day before they removed the Dunlop Bridge, he's actually nowhere near the curb, so just loses it. Too much speed on entry. Car just digs into the gravel, and Landon Batson, over she goes, and back to the pits he went. But yeah, that's a shame for the 7-year-old. He's going to really be finding this tough tonight.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate there for Landon Batson, and very unfortunate. But for the parents of Landon Batson, hide your eyes over here, because this is a rather intense one for the young guy. And I mean, this is his cockpit view. My goodness, that is heavy rotation for the young 7-year-old, and thankfully he's still probably going to come out and race, but that is probably going to be his first, hopefully his last topple over incident. I believe everyone will eventually have one, and it comes into play when that gravel just digs under the side of the car and just allows the car to completely over-rotate itself. But Jay, back to you. Whatever you were saying, apologies about that.
No, it's okay. First, hopefully poor Batson, he can get back in this. Hope he does. Second, as we continue with the rest of the race, just really quick, because I was looking in the virtual grandstands, it is Mr. Joel Coleman's birthday, so happy birthday to him. And as we get back through this, once we get done with the pits, I kind of don't know what I'd be seeing. There's been a lot of really crazy offs right before this point, and I don't know if it's going to end, really, and I don't think the rain's going to stop either, so it might be more carnage.
Yeah, Collishaw's just gone deep. Sorry, Shay. The Melbourne hairpin there. Tried to get the power out the corner. Got alongside, nearly into the boot of Carroll. And Collishaw's down to 5th place now. Just a couple of little mistakes from the Porsche driver. Carroll now up into 4th as they just try to come to the Redgate corner. Collishaw's just trying to outbrake himself a little bit to carry the speed through. And he's just struggling at the moment as the mist descends now as well at Donington Park. Collishaw just struggling out there at the moment in this portion. Not sure what could be the problem. Maybe just overdriving the car slightly, but he's definitely, that last half a lap, has missed his braking on several occasions as they come up towards McLean's. Now that is Carroll, who's just gone onto the grass. Bit of hip and shoulder, but now Carroll outbrakes himself. Collishaw looks for the up and under. Can't do it through McLean's. And Carroll hangs on for another day, but Collishaw is looking to pounce as they come through Coppice corner, kind of a double apex corner. You've really got to be patient early on the power. Collishaw now to the outside line. Mercedes-Benz will just pull in front with its absolute grunt And this will be where Collishaw can get that upper hand now with the traction zones of the Foxxtecca, the two hairpins. He's got to be on the back of him here carefully.
You can see the difference in lines from Collishaw and Carroll, how Collishaw is completely avoiding any of those curbs, especially in the chicane there, whereas Carroll is completely tackling them. And again, it's the difference between the rear engine and the front engine. The front just having a bit more stability when it comes into braking on those wet curbs. Unfortunately, the Porsche will kind of forfeit everything it's got on those wet curbs, and so very, very cautious from Collishaw. And you can see he's doing everything he can to avoid any form of curb. He's seen what's happened to the other Porsches now, and he's trying not to replicate. But I did see Davis has dropped off tremendously. He was fighting for 6th position, and this was a couple of seconds ago. I'm not too sure if we find a replay for that, but Davis definitely made a mistake somewhere, and he's fallen off the pack here. So he has the replay with Davis coming through those Craner curves, and just behind Odom, was there possibly a bit of over-rotation, maybe under braking? He tries to take the inside line from Odom, and that's where both of them goes off. Odom goes off on the left, and Evan off on the left as well, slightly less intense, but Kamari actually comes back with a great on-track recovery, and will take that position back from Davis. And then obviously Anderson from behind just had a bit of a better runoff from Davis being off, and takes that position in the next couple of corners.
I just wonder if that was a bit of contact from Davis there on the back of Odom's car going into the old hairpin there. Well, Collishaw's got ahead of Carroll, so that's happened while we showed you the replay. But just going back to your comment, Shay, about let's take a look at the replay of the Davis Odom fight. So coming down the Craner curves, Odom's a little bit offline there. Has a bit of, it's the slightest bit of a netcode tap from Davis on the back of Odom. Really an unrealistic move to make in the wet conditions here at Donington Park, going down the Craners into the old hairpin. I just want to touch, Shay, back onto what you said about Landon Batson, right? And he doesn't want to be too discouraged and too disheartened with that role. This is all a learning experience for somebody of his age. He's 7 years of age. You know, you're going to have crashes. You're going to have incidents.
Oh, Anderson's backwards.
Yes, yeah. What a shame. That's through the Foxxtecca. Oh, and there's another Porsche down at the Foxxtecca. That is Keaton Young. What is happening at the Foxxtecca? Drivers stop, tumble, coming down into the chicane. And they both managed to get back on without looking like they've lost a place. So fair play to them, but all their hard work of catching the pack in front has just been gone. But back to what I was saying about Batson. This role, Shay, will just teach him what he's got to do, and he's just learning. Everything is a learning experience for the 7-year-old.
Absolutely. It's actually really ironic. He's at the best age to start learning things. He's at a better age than we are, so I think he'll pick up all this stuff pretty nicely once the series is done.
Yeah, definitely. So I think he's in a bit more of a learning development side as a younger driver, as we see a couple of the drivers not coming to serve those pit stops. I was going to try and mention the hidden pit stop strategy that we don't really talk about much, as it's not really offered in the dry weather racing, but in the wet weather racing, and especially at a track like Donington, fuel saving can be done here while mimicking it as not looking like fuel saving. And so I have a feeling we might be seeing some slightly later pit stops here, drivers doing a little bit of fuel saving and coming in at a later stage to get the overcut. Aaron Sunday will come out of the pit stop now, though, and he's been able to keep it nice and consistent, but Davis is struggling now on the outside line of Battaglia, and they're bumper to bumper. They both pull each other off circuit. That's going to be a free position for the Canberra and Costa driver as they move up, but I believe he's a back marker, so nothing to play for there. But Anderson behind is not a back marker, and he's going to be chasing now on the backside of this fight, so not too sure what's happening there with Davis. He's definitely struggling, though, around the circuit here. As we have another call off on the left there. I did just see a car briefly off. I don't know who that was coming out of the chicanes. It's one of the Clutches Night Crew drivers, unfortunately, and I believe it might be one of the back markers. I believe it might be, no, Jacob's Hope is in the green Ferrari. Might have been Shelton Lewis or one of the others. Not too sure if Shay can help us identify. Unfortunately, they're all McLarens and they all have the same livery, so might be a bit of a difficult one there.
Yeah, I'm trying to track them through the standings right now.
Yeah, it might be a bit more of a difficult one. And we did see Jacob Swope go off, though. That's through the Craner curves. This is John Smallwood, and this is a relatively same place on track. It is coming through that chicane. Was this from John Smallwood? And on the inside line, it definitely was him as he goes off left. Did we see Troy Anderson and then pass him? Yep, there they go. So it was indeed John Smallwood, as he just struggles to keep that McLaren on all fours and wrapping around to try and keep himself pointing straight.
It'll be all right, brother. Just keep your head on your shoulders, man. You got it.
And we're seeing a lot of drivers making the same mistakes tonight. As here comes Anderson. Keaton Young, by the way, drive-through penalty or a stop-go penalty. That's for speeding in the pit lane, it looks like, for him. That's what the black flag next to his name means, as Troy Anderson there gets ahead of Davis once again. So Davis falling backwards. But drivers tonight making the same mistakes, carrying too much speed through the Craner curves into the old hairpin and braking just way too late. They're braking where the drive for Donington Park, for the Foxxtecca TSs, and they're just carrying too much momentum, hitting a puddle, playing and losing the rear of the car. And Davis, just something does not look right with Davis tonight. He's tumbling down the order, not used to seeing this, as Young must have served his penalty in the pits just a moment ago. He's now on the back of Lewis for 19th and 20th position. Remember, Kenton Young was running for P3 at the first half of this race. So what a in this one. Dianarino, 2.8 seconds out front from Parks Miller. 6.5 seconds to Russell. That is a huge gap. Russell just doesn't have the pace tonight.
No, definitely not. Klubine goes off as well, coming through those Craner curves, and everyone seems to be struggling. All this contact there. That was with Kenton Young and Shelton Lewis as they try and avoid Klubine on the outside line. A little bit of bumper to bumper, and I thought that was going to be a round around for that McLaren, but unfortunately, he's been able to keep it. But yeah, like you say, the top three has begun to split, and unfortunately, wet weather racing, it does start to show the drivers who can, prove the consistency in the wet. And in the wet, consistency will always be better than speed, as we've seen it from Dianarino, and we've seen it from Collishaw. Oh, Kenton Young goes off again. I think he's going to return for after this one. I don't think. Yep, there he goes. Back to the pit lane he goes. I think he's had enough. I don't even know if he's going to come back out after that one. So yeah, Kenton Young, not the greatest of races yet today. Anderson has moved up to 7th, though, and he's gotten ahead of Davis. So what can Anderson do to chase on this top 5?
Yeah, going to be interesting to see what the Corvette can do in this race for sure. It's it should do okay at the moment. This is Alexis Barrington then. This is down towards Goddard's. You've got the green car just behind him. Barrington a little bit slow, maybe earlier on the brakes. And Alexis there, she's just... No, I think they may have been the leaders, actually, that Alexis there has just let through. So possibly just going slow. I believe that was Collishaw, one of the cars that went through. So, yep, just getting out of the way. Nicely from Alexis there. She's just managed to notice that the leaders was seeing the blue flags and just yields that time and bonus for the drivers. Because the worst thing you want is a back marker that doesn't abide by the blue flags, especially in conditions like this.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Just a question from the virtual grandstand. It's just Rachel from OHND asking about the interval timers on the left-hand side again. So just remind about those interval colors. Russell goes sideways. Goodness, Russell loses it, and he collects Collishaw and Kamari Odom in the background. Oh, that is so unfortunate. The Mr. Consistency of Collishaw has now been beaten up. And yeah, Russell's gotten the meatball flag. So I don't know if that was a bit of net code. I don't know how badly damaged Collishaw's car is, or Russell is scraping very, very badly. That car suspension is gone, and he's going to have to try and nurse it. I believe he's, through the, he can't even make the rotation. That is, again, Russell just, man, that is so unfortunate for him. But quickly before we go into replays, just to mention, so white on the timing tower represents over 1 second. Yellow represents between 5/10 and 1 second, and then orange represents under 5/10. So Davis is currently 4/10 behind Anderson, but man, we've got to replay that. Russell just loses it on the exit and collects 2 cars.
While Jim gets the replay, surely Collishaw has to pit. He doesn't look like he has pitted. He'd have thought he would have pitted though. So where are we now? We've come curve here. This is Alex Russell. Just gets into a bit of a slide, catch it, and rolls the car right into the path of Odom and Collishaw. And I don't even think if he holds his brakes there, it would have made any difference in these conditions. I think it would have still happened. That's just one of them moments where if you're Odom and Collishaw, you've just got to guess and hope that you've picked the right way to go around the spinning car, and sadly they didn't.
Yeah, not much that they could have done. It was a bit of a blind one. And there he comes into the pit lane. He comes out, actually. So it looks like I don't know if there was a fast repair that he had, as he's come out quite quickly with that meatball flag. And out the track, he will come on 9th. Thankfully, it was within the window of him serving his pit stop. So it wasn't too much of a sacrifice. Ramirez gets a black flag penalty now. And Collishaw's actually stayed out. I don't think he sustained as much damage as we thought we did. looked like a little bit more net Cody than what was actually perceived, as the front bumper's been clipped back on that Prince Stream Porsche, and he continues to run track now up in third position. The question is he going to be able to keep consistent enough to not lose the car now due to the excessive damage on the front-hand side? Odom is definitely looking like he's struggling a bit. That front left is not looking good whatsoever.
And we're definitely seeing what you've just said, Tristan, about going a little bit longer into the stints. We normally see drivers hit around that 30 to 35 minute mark as Deanarine, leader, and second place Park Miller comes into the pit lane. But they've got at least 3 more minutes longer than normal. So that's an extra 2 nearly at Donington Park in these wet conditions. Longer than normal that we'd see them in. We'd normally see the leaders pitting around that 35 minute mark. So just showing that the wet has managed to get them an extra 2 laps in their fuel tank by just fuel saving a little bit. Just obviously with the wetter conditions, as now in comes Odom. So everybody's going to start to come in. Russell only dropped to 8th after his pit stop, so not the worst pit stop for him in the world, to be fair. He's still in with a good chance of a good result here.
Yeah, you saw it there on the front side of Odom and I believe Collishaw. Both of them sustaining front left damage, specifically on the front left bumper. And so it wasn't too hectic, but they've managed to come out. There comes Collishaw, and he comes out in 4th position still. So, I mean, what a great pit stop from Collishaw to keep that top 5 definitely in play. Carroll comes out in 3rd position. He still holds off with 1 position up. But Deanarine to Parks Miller, that's a 10-second gap for Carroll. And I doubt he's going to be able to chase that with 20 minutes left unless something happens. Ramirez comes in to serve that penalty, and now it is Russell to Collishaw. What can he do to chase on the backside? Odom is 20 seconds down, so he's definitely had, I think, a bit more damage in that pit stop. He's had to really spend some time getting that car repaired, and now he's going to have pressure from Anderson from behind. 5 seconds. Davis, though, is right on the backside of Anderson, and so everything is going to begin to escalate now, coming towards the end of this race.
All seems to come back together towards the end of a race. And one thing to mention about, really got to watch out for that pit exit, because the pit exit feeds straight on to the racing line. You're almost braking at the pit exit line where the dashed line sort of merges into one. You kind of hit your brakes there to turn into Redgate Corner. So very tricky. The oncoming traffic who is still on circuit have to be cautious of the cars leaving the pit lane. As we see here is looking up the inside through McLean's. A bit of hip and shoulder between him and, I believe that is, it is indeed, and up the to gravel and through Galia. So a great move, Zachary there, and the Ford Mustang moves up into 9th place.
Yeah, great overtake there from Battalion, and from behind as well. Looks like one of the McLarens are now getting overtaken, but that might be one of the back markers, I believe, as Saba now gets past him. So Davis has gotten himself a slowdown, unfortunately, up in front, and that's going to allow Anderson to run away yet again as they continue going around track. But Zach Battaglia doing a great job. Landon Batson is officially back out on circuit, and it is great to see him coming out after such a tremendous incident. It is always good to come towards the end of a race, especially when you are chasing seat time. Swope has gotten the meatball. What has happened to Swope down in 30th? Whoa. Oh, somebody else is off. That's half-eyed going through the chicanes now, and he loses that car. But I really want to know what happened to Swope with that meatball flag. He's definitely lost it and gotten a bit of a hit somewhere, and so we'll try and find that replay to see what happened. But great work from Landon Batson to come back out on the track and work towards the top 25.
And what a guy. He's not called it a day. He's not quit. He's not given up. And he's going to pick himself up a few points, because the top 30 drivers score points in this 1 hour race. So great to see Landon Batson get some points here. This is what has happened to Jacob Swope. It's a strange place to have lost the car there at quite a high speed. And that explains the meatball flag. A big, chunky Ford Mustang will ruin your car. And that is exactly what has happened
that was
to
the
Jacob
race
Swope
leader.
there.
Deanarine had to avoid. He went on the left on the grass and almost lost the car. I don't know if we saw that.
We just take that back, possibly, Jim.
Yeah, that was Deanarine who had to completely cut there. That could have been a terrible feat for the race leader if he got taken out by an incident like that. We'll try and get that going back for you. Here it comes.
So I'm not sure who the Ford Mustang is who hit Swoop here. But just keep your eyes out for that green and gold livery of Deanarine. Oh, yeah.
There he goes on the left.
There. 2 wheels on the grass, yeah. And I tell you what, he's done very well to keep that going.
Yeah, that could have been tremendously a big error from Deanarine if that didn't work out in his favor. So just one more replay. Here comes Deanarine out of those corner curves. And now you can just see it from his perspective. He's got incidents up in front. He's leading this race. He's carrying so much speed. Look at this. What do you do in that situation? My goodness, that is a difficult judgment. Bouncing
off the rev limiter, indicating that he's probably still got his foot pinned to the floor, going up towards McLean's. And you could see, you guys saw exactly that car there. Very little you could see up ahead as you climb up the hill. Yeah, what a moment for Deanarine, and what a way to keep hold of your lead. Collishaw on the back of Carroll now for the podium. This is for P3 and P4. We're into that final 17 minutes of the race, and Paul Collishaw at the moment, I have to say, I've not seen him look this good this season as what he has done tonight. He's shown glimpses of what he pace, but tonight he's way as he steps the rear end out coming through Melbourne hairpin there. But tonight Collishaw has been on the money.
Well, I'll tell you what, a home circuit will definitely do that to you. I know it for myself. Whenever I get the chance to race Kailami, it's some weird South African advantage. And so Collishaw is definitely experiencing that, I think, like you mentioned. It's not his first time driving here. And Davis gets himself a black flag penalty, unfortunately. That's going to be from possibly exceeding track limits. It's not nowhere near the pit lane. And so, unfortunately, he's reached that 20x incident limit. And a black flag penalty for Davis. That's going to be a drive-through that he's going to have to serve. Russell has apparently had a bit of an incident again. This is coming through Goddard's onto the main straight. Was it a bit of a braking error? Coming in a bit too sharply. And indeed it is, losing the backside again for Alex Russell. And he plants it on the racing line almost, unfortunately. My goodness, almost close again for Halfite and that BMW driver.
I tell you what, this is what I love about Donington Park. It's just chucking up a different challenge to what a normal circuit. What I mean by normal circuit, a bit more something that regular people, you know, that the regular users would be. So Donington Park has thrown up absolutely all sorts. Davis has served his black flag. Ramirez has got a black flag to his name, so he's got to do it at least a drive-through penalty. It is a second time. Yeah, so this is what brought out the black flag for Ramirez. He's gone across. He's had a spin on the curb. And then he's... Oh, there's Deanarine. Deanarine in the same position. Deanarine has had... car. I think he got that for just cutting that little inside curb too much just before he had the spin. Is where he got the black flag. So this is Jude Ball. This is who hits the spinning car of Swoop earlier on. He's had a moment.
And he almost collects Troy.
Yeah, nearly into Troy Hansen. But this is what I love about Donington Park. The drivers are being tested, and this is what you don't see at other circuits. British circuits provide this kind of a test for the drivers to really have to knuckle down and nail.
Yeah, absolutely. So Virtual Grandstand saying we've got a lot of talented racers out here. Indeed, we do, and they have really started to prove themselves. Like Matthew said, one of the more challenging circuits, especially with the wet weather element, and they are really doing well. But drive at the spotlight again. Aaron Sunday is receiving a lot of glorification in our Virtual Grandstand, and so many people are cheering him on up in 11th position. And like I said, the consistency will pay off. He had it in Barcelona, and he managed to pull all those positions up into the top 15. He's done it again here, and he's remained solidly in 11th position. And this will be good points for the OHND team, as all we see, the two up in front, Deanarine and Parks Miller, getting very, very tight on that chicane. A little bit squabble on the backside, and that could have been bad. Imagine we saw both of them over-rotate as they now come through the Melbourne hairpin. It is still Deanarine who leads, but Deanarine does no longer have that, relatively easy challenge up in front. Unfortunately, Parks Miller is right on the backside now and contesting for that pole within the last 15 minutes.
Deanarine's probably just not hoping to run into somebody that's had another spin at this point in the race. He's got 14 and a half get through, and he just wants to try and survive. It looks like it's brightening up a little bit out there on the circuit. It did look a bit mistier earlier on. The rain still continuing to pour though. This is a lovely campsite on the outside of turn number 1 of Redgate there. Beautiful little campsite down there, and you can see absolutely nothing in the spray of Deanarine. Down through, oh, big twitch from Parks Miller through the left, or the right and left, should I say, of curves under Starkey's Bridge. No longer there in real life, Starkey's Bridge, so great to see it on the iRacing.
Tagley's lost it.
Bluebird on top. Battaglia, yeah, he's down to 11th place. I think, did he just get the slowdown? I believe it was.
No, I think he actually lost it. Yeah,
there we go. So he's had a moment. Odom on the back of White. This is Battaglia's moment. Then this is coming through. Where are we? That's through McLean's up towards Coppice. Difficult corner, Coppice. You climb uphill at this point. It's a blind entry into the corner, and across the circuit he goes into the gravel. And yeah, you've got to say, love the gravel traps on the outside. Old school circuit here at Donington.
Yeah, unfortunate for Zach Battaglia, but fortunately, again, he doesn't lose too much of the body components there. Just off onto the gravel he goes, and he's able to control it. And that's given Sunday the heads-on into top 10, and so he's officially in the top 10 scoring points. And again, that's where it shows the consistency is paying off. So great move up on the inside. Dianorino has got 12 minutes that he's got to hold. Can he hold on for another 1.2 seconds gap from Parks Miller for the next 12 minutes? It is going to be a close battle that he's got to contest, and one error here could prove unworthy here for Mayor Noreen. So he's got to work very hard, and we'll have to see what he can do. But Parks Miller will try and contest. He is losing out slightly from the backside. Carroll is unfortunately 16 seconds behind them as we now see the gap to the leader. It is a very, very long stint, and as you can see, all the way down to Coleman down in 12th. Only the top 12 are on the same lap, unfortunately from 13th down, all one lap and counting on so forth behind.
And that just shows how consistent these top drivers have been in the top 10 this afternoon, as we see Davis pick up another slowdown to his name. This is Odom looking around the outside of Sauber as they go. Looking McLaren just nearly rejoining into the path. Is half-eyed there, just nearly rejoined into the path of this fight. As here comes Odom looking to tuck underneath, can't do so. And Kamari Odom putting the pressure on. The Porsches have looked really good tonight. I know you said, Tristan, that they may just struggle because of that rear-end engine in this car, but to be fair, Collishaw and Odom and Young for the first part of this race have looked really good out there tonight.
Yeah, they really have shown their consistency in the car, and I feel like it's been a bit more of the challenging car to select in today's racing, and they really have shown, the strides that they've been able to pull, but they've gotten so used to these cars over the season's racing. And so I suppose that it doesn't play too much of a factor here, but I do indeed see, obviously, from some of the camera angles, you won't see the raindrops just due to the depth of field and aperture, but we'll have to see it in another camera angle if we're seeing rain still. I'm not seeing it too much. I'm seeing puddles on the floor. I've been called that there's still rain, so it's still going to be wet, I think, for the rest of this race. Jesse Laverin getting a little bit close for call there behind one of the other drivers. That's the BMW. Not too sure that BMW. Oh, and that's into the backside of the BMW, coming into Goddard's, unfortunately. And I believe that was Majuri, unfortunately, possibly who got pulled off. Unfortunately, not Majuri. We'll try and get that for you now. And Laverin pulls in after that incident.
How many times have we seen that this evening? Just somebody just running into the back of another car at Goddard. It's happened one too many times tonight. We're getting an auto for Jim. We go back to live scenes. What is the auto for? We're having on. This is the auto. This is the replay. Just as third and fourth was about to put on a car. This is Caden Parks Miller over the curb. Round she goes. There's already another. Parks Miller has had an off, and that'll put to bed that challenge for the race lead, depending on what Dianorine does in the rest of this race. But Parks Miller now has made his own mistake, coming up under Starkey's Bridge, and what a shame for him. This is Jimmy Carroll with Collishaw on the back of him coming through McLean's. As we go back to the live screen now, what is the gap? 5 seconds, Jimmy Carroll off the back of Parks Miller, as Jesse Laverin has a drive-through penalty to serve as well, and Carroll defending that inside line of the Mel pretty well there. Collishaw opposite lock on the steering wheel there, that's just going to have cost him a couple of tenths over that of Carroll, and he did this earlier. He started to overdrive earlier. Needs to just settle into a nice rhythm with 9 minutes left.
Yeah, 9 minutes left of racing, and now it's going to start to get close for the rest of the drivers. Collishaw was very, very close between him and Carroll, and I saw what Matthew was saying there. As soon as we got away from the cameras, they were trying to navigate a back marker, and Carroll had to go off track there. just to try and make it around. But he's managed to keep that lead. Odom a little bit further behind is on the backside of Saba now, trying to extend it up into the top 7. He will go. Unfortunately, Sunday's lost out 2 positions. Yeah, he's moved down to 12th and lost out to Battaglia and Coleman. So not too sure when that's happened in the race, but fortunately still in the top 15, but 2 positions down. He won't be too happy with that one as they continue to go around the track now. But Odom down in 8th position, 4 positions up on the backside, 5 tenths left to chase down on Saba, and about 8 minutes left. Here's Aaron Sunday, and there's a bit of a spin that's just coming out of the curves and up towards the top of the hill of McLean's, unfortunately, and he's just facing sideways on the track. Battaglia is also off. I wonder if there was possible contact there with Battaglia.
Yeah, because they've just got past him, haven't they? So I wonder if that's what's happened between Sunday and Battaglia here. So this is coming through Old Hairpin. Here is Aaron Sunday. So he's had his own moment. So where's Battaglia then?
I think he's done the same by himself.
Yeah, I think he possibly has. We're going to see him rejoin in just a... I think he's had must have had his own moment himself, Battaglia there. So Zachary Battaglia. So Sunday's lost to 2 places through his own spin. And Battaglia then, into the wall backwards. Yeah, so he's had his own moment at exactly the same spot as what Sunday did. So what a shame for Battaglia there, as Carroll still defending that inside line over Collishaw, side by side. To be absolutely brave to go side by side through the crane of curves. This could be brilliant. This could be move of the day for Paul Collishaw, and he's backed out of that one. Possible sensible option for Collishaw there. He has the pace over Jimmy Carroll at the moment. He's just got to try and get past.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a mission here for Collishaw to try and get past Carroll. The virtual grandstand asking what happened to Sunday there. If you did just miss the replay, he just lost. They both go around. It's contact. And it's over again for another Porsche, and Collishaw has been tipped upside down. What a massive accident here coming out of the crane of curves. And man, I did not want to call it, but they were getting a little bit aggressive between Collishaw and Carroll, and Collishaw planted upside down in the gravel, and that is his race over, unfortunately, as we have another McLaren in the background with a smoking engine. That's possibly a downshift error, but my goodness, Collishaw, massive accident between himself and Carroll.
Now, just correct me if I'm wrong, Shay. That looks like one of your guys here with the blown engine.
I don't know if Shay's here anymore. I think he might have.
Yeah, I don't know if he's probably to debrief with the driver who's downshifted and broke their engine. That's going to be a costly repair for Shay to fix.
I'm here.
There he is, hiding under the blankets.
So 2 Porsches have gone over in this race. We're going to play of what happened there between Collishaw and Carroll, but wow, that was absolutely crazy in this race. And Collishaw, I said watch out for him in this race, but it didn't end in the reason why I said watch out for him. He could have had the podium tonight. Russell has looked into a podium. Realistically, he's not had the pace of other drivers around him. He's in P3, so fair play to him. A few more drivers. That's Anderson, I believe, going side by side with a back marker. He is some 34 seconds off the back of Carroll. And
so this is the replay possibly. So we'll try and follow it for quite a nice long train. So obviously they're already giving each other some bashes. College was already ahead here at turn number 1, and so they'll go side by side through the next sector. College was getting forced slightly wide there, and it's just coming out of the crane of curves up the left hand. I think just not enough space given. The question is, not enough space given by who, or is it just a racing incident? So out of the crane of curves they'll come, and there you see College pulls out completely to rather be safe. And then through the next corner, you can see slightly wide there for the likes of Carroll, and that allows the door to open up for the likes of Collishaw. And so onto the inside now, Collishaw does stick his nose up. He's definitely got space, and he just drifts slightly wide from touching the left-hand side. And I don't know, I would deem that as a racing incident. I don't think it was anyone's particular fault, but yeah, out the race, unfortunately, for Collishaw. Carroll will continue going on, but Collishaw, unfortunately, done and dusted.
The thing to know about that inside Collishaw, it's quite easy coming through that left kink. So they are, it looked like it possibly bounced off that curve into the side of Carroll, and that is Collishaw's day done. He come back out, no real spoiler on the car. So, 3 minutes worth of racing left open. for Portugal.
Yeah, so 3 minutes left to go of racing now, and it is Carroll on the backside of Russell. This is the main fight that we got around track. It is these two, the battle for third position now. It's all we've got left. Jadubal comes to serve his back flag penalty. We'll have to see how that's going to work out for him, but top three right now. This is all to play for. 3 minutes left of racing, about 1.5 laps or so. Collishaw shows that he's back out on track in 14th position, I think so. Not too sure if he's come back out or not, but he's dropping off from all the drivers who are coming back to lap him. As hopefully he comes back out maybe in the last 3 minutes just to come across the checkered flag. That would be good to see, as Carroll now trying to make it around. But a little bit further behind, there is Collishaw. He's come back out of the pits, and he's actually come out damaged. No wing at all on that car, so no repair from Collishaw. I'm not too sure what his intentions are there. He's not going to be able to get it by. And Alex Russell, very deep plunge into that turn. That is going to sacrifice a lot of speed from Carroll coming into the next couple of corners. So we're going to have to see how that plays out for Carroll now. And he's right on the backside of Russell. Alongside each other, this is going to get close.
Close. They just tapped each other there, so... Go on, sorry, Shay.
I was saying the same thing you were saying. That's a little bit closer than close. One car was almost inside the other's diffuser.
Yeah, they absolutely hit each other there. That was it. Carroll's just seems a little aggressive tonight, Tristan.
Yeah, Carroll's definitely been a bit more on the backside this race, a bit more on the back burners, trying to make his way up the field. And Sandira Gama gets himself a black flag penalty now. The top 20 driver will unfortunately drop off due to that black flag penalty in the final stints of this race. But we're officially heading into the final minute now. Where is Deanarine out on track? Will this be white flag? Has he just started it, or is it going to be another lap? I believe, according to where Carroll and Russell is, I think Deanarine might still have one more lap to go. This is him coming, I believe, into the, yes, indeed, into the chicane he will come. And now you can see him rounding up there in first position. And so we're about to clock down on the 1 minute mark. The checkered flag line is coming up, but it is going to be one more lap around for Deanarine. And so white flag coming up shortly. The drivers, it means for Carroll, he's got for just this next coming lap to try and lunge up onto the inside for third position. And he's been working hard to try and keep that top three, but unfortunately, events of tonight have just not proven him right. Someone's gone off in the background there, very far off. I'm not too sure who that is, as we just have so much action going on here tonight. But I mean, Shay, what are we predicting here? Do we think Carroll's going to get this, or do we think Russell's going to keep it?
I think that I can't even say this time. Carroll, as you know, usually has a reputation as one of the comeback kids in the race. And tonight's just gone really unexpected for a lot of people. We saw two Porsches flip over completely. I didn't see that coming. And everyone, just about everyone, messing up on the same corner. So who can tell? Everyone's pushing really hard in the last minute or the last lap of the race. You know, everyone wants to get to that finish line, and it's just really seeing who's got the moves or the, I guess, the mind to make it there in time.
Yeah, absolutely so. And we're going to have to see how this rounds up for the final corner now. And now, as we see, it is indeed final lap. Mayorin Nareen has just come out of those the curves, and now towards the rest of the track. He will come onto the back straight. He goes coming up towards the inaugural chicane section of Fogarty S's, and we'll have to see how that plays out. But leading off on a very strong charge here, 13 seconds of a gap to Parks Miller, and unfortunately Carroll has dropped off slightly to Russell. It is a 6/10 gap between the two, and so I don't know if that overtake is going to happen in time, but the race clock has officially extended far past, coming down into Michelin hairpin now. Sorry, not Michelin, Melbourne hairpin for Mayorin Nareen. And what a consistent race he's had. He had a bit of a scare. He's had a couple of scares this race with back markers, obviously punting him in the rear, and also almost completely sacrificing himself due to an incident out on track. But he's managed to keep strong. He's managed to bring home the Lotus here at Donington Park. He rounds the final corner out of Goddard, and it's going to be the race win. Mayorin Nareen will take it yet again for the championship lead, further extending that charge. And what a great finish to finish off strong.
You have to wonder now, has that race just put him on the verge of winning this championship with 3 races to go to, because we've got 2 next week and then the 1 finale. Has that put him on the verge of winning this championship in the M category?
Yeah, I think that's probably done enough now for Deanarine to get that race win. I mean, get the championship win. He is building up that points gap, and as Matthew was saying there, apologies if he's slightly hard to hear. He's just trying to sort out a couple of audio technical issues. But 2 races left for Deanarine in terms of 2 rounds left, 3 literal races left. He's got 3. He's got 2 next week for the Format B, and then 1 final for the final round. And we'll have to see how that plays out for him. As the race though come across, Anderson will get his top 5 back coming towards the checkered flag, and what a great charge he's had to bring it home. Very, very strong indeed. Kamari Odom, after all the incident points he's had yet today, and contact that has not been caused by him, he comes home strong across the line in 6th position. Saba will come 7th, and 8th for Davis. Battaglia will already come past 9th, and Sunday gets his top 10. So I'm sure the virtual grandstand will be happy about that one. Landon comes 26th. He's also getting a lot of praises in the commentary box for, in the virtual grandstand for, just finishing off that race strong. He had the huge flip earlier on that we saw Collishaw repeat, that he's managed to keep it out on track, which is always a great thing to see. But that is officially it, I believe. Checkered flag all across the board, as most of the drivers have now finished up, and we'll get your final round results here for today's AM race. As we still see Swiderski still not done just yet. I do see for the top 25 they've all come across the checkered flag though, and so the rest are possibly still coming across. And there we see it is still a couple who need to come past. Smallwood, they've both got a meatball flag and a black flag, unfortunately, from their side. Perry and Barrington all coming out, but I do see checkered flags across the board, essentially everywhere along the track. So I'm assuming that this is it now, as we see the drivers now pulling off to the side of the road. And what an AM race it's been, though, Shay. What's been your thoughts on it so far?
Man, this was a tough night. When we heard that we are going to get this track over in the UK, I was wondering to myself, is this going to be just a cloudy day? Is this going to be a rainy day? Is it going to be the UK regular? And the UK regular is exactly what we got.
Yeah, the UK regular is indeed. You just hear Matthew laughing. He's laughing in relation as he knows what it's about. But Mayo Dinarine comes across the line in the first position spot. The number 244 extends that championship lead yet again. Caden Parks-Miller will take second, with Alex Russell taking third position. Jimmy Carroll, after a hard-fought day, will take fourth, and Troy Anderson down in fifth. Kamari Odom, sixth position. Andre Saba down in seventh, with Evan Davis taking eighth. Zachary Battaglia down in ninth, and Aaron Sunday will round off the top 10. Joe Coleman takes 11th, with Shelton Lewis down in 12th. Richard Podolski to Dayton Harrison, and Julian Rees down in 15th. Thomas Natali will take 16th, and Paul Collishaw, after having a huge accident early on, down in 17th. Justin Klubine down in 18th, and from 19th onwards, Lewis Holloway, Ken Majuri, Evan Sandirigama, Edward Ramirez, Benjamin Bechtel, and Kingston Mullings in 24th position. Jesse Laverin will take, I've lost my spot. There it is, 25th. Jesse Laverin up in 25th, and Landon Batson finishing off strong in 26th position. Ethan Harfide takes 27th, and Kristen Montgomery will lead the all-ladies charge in 28th position, followed by Jacob Perry in 29th. Alexis Barrington, the other female driver, in 30th, with Timothy Jadubal down in 31st. Jacob Swope takes 32nd, and Zachary Wood will take 33rd. Kenton Young, after a very, very unfortunate race, starting in second, down to 34th for that driver. John Smallwood, 31st, with Alan Ware down in 36th position. Samuel Bernard will take 37th, and Louis Martinez will finish off strong in 38th position. But that is officially it for the AM racing here tonight. We head to the pro racing in a couple of minutes, and hang tight. We've got a good interview coming with Chris Harris and Kingston Mullings, one of the drivers you just saw out on track. And so we'll see you shortly for that pro race. Don't go anywhere, get something to eat, and we'll see you shortly.
Brought to you by Foxxtecca, where the fast become unforgettable. Here's your host, Chris Harris.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the League Podcast. This is a brand new podcast from Foxxtecca Studios, and this is where we break down everything that's happening in the league. The league is the esports competition of Foxxtecca. It's a GT3 racing series that happens on iRacing, and we're here to talk about tips, strategy, sponsors, esports, racing on that platform versus racing outside. And we really want our guests to talk about what they got going on in their lives. Big shout out to our sponsors, The Roasted Record. The Roasted Record is a coffee shop in Stuart, Florida. They're about sustainability, and they ship their coffees nationwide. Big shout out to Superlap. They are the official sim partner of the league. They're sim studios in Berkeley, Michigan, right outside Detroit. And Dakins Design. Dakins Design is the official livery designer of the league. They have designed all the Foxxtecca cars that you're going to see on track this year, and it's going to be dope. And one of those drivers is here with us today. He is a up and coming esports racer. He is 14 years old, and he competed in season 1 of the league. It was remarkable to watch this young man grow from race 1 to the end of the season, and it really made me feel good because it was what the entire intentions of what the league was. So without further ado, I want to bring in Kingston Mullins.
Hello. Thanks for having me on the
Kingston,
podcast.
welcome to the league. Welcome to the league. How you doing?
Good. How about you?
Good. I see you got your trophies out there stacked, got the helmet, setting the tone early, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, so tell the world about yourself. Let the people know who you are, where you're from, and how long you've been in racing.
All right. So, uh, I'm Kingston Mullins. I'm 14, and I started racing when I was 6 at my local go-kart track. Just to try it out because it was my friend's birthday. And basically, once I got in the cart, I was still little. So when I was in the youth carts, and I just liked it. Like it was just a click. Like just from there, everything started to go uphill. So we got into it. My dad, he actually raced before me, but not like professionally, but he raced rental carts at the track. And when he saw me do it, he sort of thought like, man, if my son's gonna get into this, then I have to know to teach him. So he went to start doing the leagues on Monday nights, and he started to get his racing knowledge up. So then when I come in, he's able to coach me and teach me along the way. So we do that. I do the youth league, and I did pretty bad starting in youth league. I used to get last every time, qualify last, and then coming out the cart, I always cry and go to my dad like, "Dad, I'm not good." And he always tell me, "Nah, just put your head down and keep going," because like everyone out there starts at the bottom. So it's not just you. Everyone else is going through the same struggle. You know what I'm saying? So after I sort of sucked it up, right? And was like, nah, if I want to be the best, then I gotta learn how to deal with the pressure. So I started getting better. I started just watching videos on it. So like how to
On
brake.
karting, watching videos on
Yeah,
karting.
watching videos on karting. So I'm still in the rental carts inside. I didn't get outside until this year, but we'll get to that later. So
So hold on, time out. Let's rewind as we go through this because you
mhm,
said so much. There's so much to unpack here. So 6 years old, your
mhm,
dad was racing rental cars.
yep.
He puts you in this cart completely bigger than you, right? Like you didn't fit in the cart. How
Well,
did
before no, I had to have a seat insert and a block and everything.
that? That's hilarious. How do you remember those feelings of like the first time of you actually getting in a rental car? Like what was that like?
Um, I sort of was just like, this is pretty fast, especially because I had never gone in like a vehicle before because I was so little. So when
Yeah.
I went in there, right, I was like, wait, I'm in control. It's not like my dad driving me or my mom driving me. It was like I control what I'm sitting in right now. So it was almost like if I gotta control this, then I gotta be first. I gotta win. Like,
So you had that mentality from the jump, like you weren't scared. You were like just
mhm,
comfortable and just were like, "Oh, this is on me now. Let me go out there and win." From the door, you were like that.
right, right,
That's awesome,
yeah.
man. That's a mentality that some young kids don't have right away, and to have that right away is huge.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. The mentality is always if you're not first, you're last.
I written that.
Obviously, you got to give yourself grace. Of course, you make a mistake, it's on you though, right? So it's always if you're not first, you're last. Just because the goal is to always win. The goal isn't to come second or third, right? It's still a really good finish, regardless. But still, like that's not what you come there for. You don't come there to get second or third. You come there to win, right? And
So, how
so
long did it take for you to go from rental cars and just kind of driving around and just learning, the track and the car to your first like race?
Uh, I'd say after a couple of sessions, right? As soon as we went there, my dad registered me into the youth league immediately because he just saw the look on my face, like, oh, this kid likes this. So my first race, I was pretty young. I think I was still six or seven. So going to that race, it was pretty fun.
Did you win?
No, no, I did not. I
Oh,
was
actually, you
so
did say
mad.
you were mad. Yeah, you were mad that you didn't win. Your dad was like, "Listen, everybody starts from the bottom." But that hunger and, like you said, of you not winning made you want to push harder and try harder. All right.
Yes.
Where was your mom during all of this? Like, was she used to your dad racing, and so like she wasn't as worried?
My mom knew that my dad used to do the rental cars and everything, and she knew that he was doing his best to help me out. So she was cool with it. Yeah, she was pretty chillaxed about the racing.
Oh wow, lucky you, because some moms be like, "My baby, don't you put him in that car."
Wait, but she does get a little tummy sick whenever I'm racing though. She does get a little bit nervous.
That's funny. She still gets like that. So
Oh yeah,
that's a mom's love right there.
yeah.
That's awesome. And so, okay, now you're starting to compete at 6 in the rental carts. Like, how many laps happen at, like, are they like 5 lap races, 10 lap races? Like, how does it go at that age?
So it was timed races for 8 minutes. So you do qualifying, right? Qualifying is they changed the format, but when I was racing, I think it was you had 5 minutes to put a qualifying lap down. And then depending on where you go, that's like if you qualify towards the back of the heat, you're gonna be or to the back of the qualifying pack, then you're gonna be in the lower heat. And then
Yep,
in order to advance, you're gonna have to win. So
got you.
yeah, I would qualify towards the back and still get last, but it was all good because I knew that I was gonna get better.
So now you're 6, you're racing, you're competing. Now, what's next? Tell me the next part of the story.
So after we stopped with it, or not stopped, but we chilled out in the youth league. I advanced to the adult league when I was probably 10 or 11.
Were you the only kid
So
your age in the adult league?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, I was running novice at first, and the goal was always to win. But I had a coach. His name is Mason, and he was coaching me a lot, and he was telling me the goal is always to win, but if you don't win, you learn, right? So even if I didn't come first, right, we'd always have a debrief and talk about, hey, what did you do that you could have done better? And just give time to reflect on the race because there's always lessons in those losses. So whatever you do, there's always going to be something that you can improve on, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
So after I only did one season in novice, and then I immediately made the jump to the pro league. So, and I was probably I think 11 and a half, maybe
Okay,
when I went
you're
to
11 now. Okay, gotcha.
yeah. So we go into the pro league and we get a top 10 our first race. So that's pretty good. But I was always like I would say I'm really hard on myself whenever I'm not like perform. I always feel like I'm underperforming because I know that I can do it. Like I know
Mhm.
I can get first. I know I can win. So and we're still in the first season. So towards the end of the season, as I start to learn a lot more, I get my first win in the pro class in my first season, which was insane. It was amazing. Like,
What's the average age of the people? I mean, you might not remember because you were 11, but like, are you racing against like teenagers or grown adults? Like, what does this look like? What does your competition look like? Or is it a
so when
mix?
I first started the pro class, I don't remember any kids my age.
Hmm.
Like I don't remember any kids
Yeah,
like there's
nobody. So,
probably
yeah,
yeah, there's probably 18-year-olds, but I
18.
mean,
Okay,
yeah,
that's still huge gap,
yeah, I'm
and
still
you're
really
winning.
young. Yeah.
That's insane, man. Absolutely insane. So now you're in the pro league, you get your first win. Like, how does that feel? Like, at this point, your first win comes from 6 to, so like 9 years, I think. No, 5 years, right? 5 years. you get your first win in the pro league. Do you remember that feeling?
Yeah, it was amazing. I came out the cart and everyone there is so supportive. Like they were giving me fist bumps, hugs because they all like to see each other do well.
That's awesome.
So the first win was really really fun to experience. It really helped on bringing my confidence up, knowing like yes, I belong here. Like I can do this. Like like yeah.
So season 1 ends. How do you finish that season? Like, are you points champion? You get more wins? How's that first pro season end?
The first pro season I finished, I believe, 18th. So not high, but I didn't do bad. It was probably I forgot how many people were there, but it wasn't bad for the first season.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
So yeah.
So now you turn 12, right? You do
Mhm.
you do a pro season again. Like, are you locked in now? Like,
Oh
you're doing.
yeah, I've been doing the pro league ever since. And then I started to get not wins, but a lot more consistent with being up top.
Gotcha.
So not wins, but being up there running with the top guys. And this was before because our local track, they switched tracks now. So I'm talking about the old track. So the
Mhm.
old track, it was very open. Like you have to defend in order to keep your spot because they will send it on you.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it would get dicey out there.
That's one thing about carts, man. You like.
And we are back live racing with the pro class, and it's looking to turn out a little bit better. We see the sky slightly brighter compared to what we saw in the AM, but it's visually the time for the pros to head out on circuit. Again, it is myself, Matthew, and Shay out on track with Jim in the background. If you've gone anywhere, it's time to come back. It's time for racing yet again, and the rain is still falling. But before we dive into all the qualifying action, it is time to go through the track map that we wanted in the AM class.
Indeed it is. And what a track map this is going to be. This is one of the, or my favourite circuit, if you haven't guessed it throughout this and last season. Donington Park here in the East Midlands. One of the tracks that actually runs through 3 counties, Leicestershire, Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire. A beautiful, beautiful circuit. 2 layouts to this. You've got the National Circuit, which doesn't do the 2 hairpins, or the Grand Prix Circuit, which we are on today. You come down the start-finishing line and you head into turn number 1 of Redgate Corner, a lovely overtaking opportunity corner. If you can get up the inside, and it can give you a good run up that inside line through into turn 2 of Hollywood. Don't really feel this corner. You're flat out through that little right-hander before hitting that of turn 3. The Craner curves. Very, very brave if you are to make an overtake through the Craner curves, as you have to be late as you dare on the brake into the old hairpin. Tricky corner if you get it wrong, as you've just seen in the amateur race. A lot of drivers making mistakes offline going through the Craner curves into the old hairpin. But if you get this one right, it can be very rewarding. It can give you a good run through turn 5 of Starkey's, up then in towards turn 6 of the Schwantz curve, and then leading you up into that famous turn 7. I say famous in the UK, turn 7, if you're a British touring car fan, because turn 7 of McLean's, great opportunity to just catch your opponent napping, leaving the door open, because you can almost late apex McLean's, and you can just leave that door open a little too much for a move up the inside. Coppice, the trickiest corner in my opinion on this circuit. Uphill, blind entry into the apex of Coppice Corner, and it comes around quite a way. You've got to wait on that throttle. Down the back straight you go into turns 9 and 10 of the Fogarty S's. A chicane not really known for its overtaking. Track limits off tracks will be a huge factor through there. Get a good run though, and it could put you on the opportunity of an inside move through turn 11. The Melbourne hairpin, if, and this is a big if, you can hold it round the outside line of the Melbourne hairpin, it sets you up for turn 12 and the final turn here at Donington Park Grand Prix layout of Goddards. The opportunity again to go on that inside line at the hairpin, which just cambers down on towards that inside curb. Very easy to lose the rear with too much power too early, and that is a lap of Donington Park.
Yeah, so we unfortunately missed it in the AM class, but there it officially is. So if you were still remaining with us from the AM race, and you've gotten to see the track map, but in any case, you've already seen the racing once already, and we get to go again with the pro class. But before we head further into this qualifying section, let's go through our point standings. And a big thing to mention as well is that the previous round did change up slightly and it is actually Panicia who took the win last week for race number 2 after Nikolai Peterson was given a penalty and a drop-off on the grid due to contact with Marley Joff. But Marley Joff currently still sits up in front with 361 points, and Nikolai Peterson sits in second, followed by Dennis Grabowski in third, and Ballas Palla will be in fourth position. 325 points tied between third and fourth, so they'll be trying to fight it out to grade. A little bit further behind is Gregory Hooverson in fifth, and Leo Dragada, the young gun, down in sixth position. Aaron Zurich in seventh, and Zane Khan in eighth position. Kevin Rold in ninth, and Tyler King, the final of the top 10, and with 186 points. You can see the rest of the grid all the way from 11th down. And as I mentioned in the AM race, we'll go a little bit more in depth with this with the championship standings in the next race, our penultimate round. But there's still a lot to play for in this race. We're not going to go through too much detail towards the bottom side. You can see it flashing past you on the screen. But before we also head into the more of the qualifying action, just a huge thank you to the sponsors here at the league by Foxxtecca. The Roasted Record joins us to provide all the fuel that the drivers will be drinking to keep themselves awake. We've got a lot of international drivers here who, for example, for the likes of myself and Matthew, are currently sitting in the very early hours of the morning, around the 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock side throughout this entire race. We've also then got Dakins Designs bringing you some of the great designs around track for those who are not familiar with designing liveries. In iRacing, they provide all those services. Superlap is also here. They've joined up in season number 2 with Foxxtecca, and a great partnership between the two. The African American Automotive Association, obviously headed up by the owner, Chris Harris, apologies, and just bringing all the opportunities to some of the younger racers that we've actually seen participate here at the league by Foxxtecca. So thank you so much to all of those amazing sponsors that are here with us for the season number 2. And now we can officially get on to our qualifying, as we are currently about 7 minutes in, and Grabowski tops it off with a 136.3.
Yes, now obviously I don't have the timing screens in front of me tonight. Where is Marley Joff? Because he is not yet in that top 25. Obviously qualifying still got a few minutes left to run, but Marley Joff not in that top 25.
He's about to finish his first lap. He's just about to come across the checkered flag now. So I'm going to give you some deja vu. 1, 2, 3. There he pops up now. And there he is.
There he is. 3/10 in the pole. And again, we said this about Collishaw. Britt should know Donington Park, should know what he's going to expect here. Look out for Marley Joff in this race. I'll reiterate what I said in race 1 of the AM race. This is a track where track knowledge will give you that upper hand, especially in these kind of conditions. If the non-British drivers haven't raced Donington Park that much, they may just struggle a little bit.
Who were we thinking that Joff was going to miss this round? I mean, it's home circuit. He's coming here in the Corvette and he's pulling off strong. And he's already done it 3/10 ahead of Grabowski, and that's on his first lap. So great work there from Joff to top it off up in P number 1. And Hooverson and Peterson a little bit further behind. They have to work a little bit harder to try and make it up. Hooverson does have the faster Sector 3 here, and as he runs off for Sector 4, what is it going to be for the big Mercedes driver? Into Goddard he will come. Will it be an improvement for Gregory Hooverson? Will he be able to jump Peterson by just that mere 1/10 as he comes across the checkered flag? Now it all depends on that final sector. It was a personal improvement. So is it going to be a climb up into P3? Indeed it is. It's better. It's up into P number 2. And now just a couple 300ths of a second behind Marley Joff. Great jump from Greg Hooverson.
Yeah, lovely jump from Greg Hooverson there. He's the man to keep your eyes on as well in this race, because you almost feel like Hooverson's not got going in this championship this season. Again, another driver that's shown good pace at times, but the results probably don't back up what we saw in season 1 from Gregory Hooverson. Yes, the pro field has got a lot stronger and has got a lot tougher, but I just feel Hooverson's results haven't reflected how quick this guy actually is.
No, definitely not. As we see Joff coming into the pit lane now, we're officially rounding off on that final minute of racing here. And so this is where the drivers that have got their final opportunities to come across the checkered flag. Leo Dragada is green and purple. My goodness, he jumps up. The American takes pole currently 136.055. That is a very, very marginal difference, just under hundreds of a second there from the likes of Joff, and Grabowski improves as well, 100th faster than Joff. I mean, my goodness, the drivers are getting those final stops in. And it has changed completely now for that top 3.
Joff was out. It was in the pits at the wrong time there, wasn't he? Because that track looks like it's just got a little bit quicker as we see drivers of Peterson now coming to the end of their lap. But, Dragota, where did that lap come from?
Yeah, Dragota seems to have just planted it up on the top here. Peterson will come across, but he's unfortunately yellow all across the board. So I don't think there's going to be any improvement here, unfortunately. He's going to remain in fifth. Hooverson moves up 135.9 in the final moments of qualifying as the checkered flag hits. My goodness. So the top three, and unfortunately, the British driver doesn't even feature.
No, down in fourth place, so he's got a bit of work to do in this race. The thing for Marley Joff at the moment, if you look back at them championship standings, he's got to be smart about his racing. This is not the place he needs to have a bad race.
No, definitely not. As we head into our starting procedure, it is Gregory Hooverson who takes the lead in that final dire moment. Theo Dragota will start off 1 second. Dennis Grabowski, third position, and Marley Joff, the Brit, will be starting on the second row. He's got to work hard to get up ahead. Nikolai Peterson will be starting in fifth. Ballas Pala takes sixth position with Aaron Zurek and Alessandro Torchio. I'm noticing, no, there he is. Marcel Marotz is here in ninth position for him. Guilherme Andre will start in 10th. Russell Soto from Superlap X starts in 11th with Ty Dunnett down in 12th position. And from 13th onward, we can see it is still Paul Nye in 13th, followed by Savio Pinicia, who won last week in round number 2 at Barcelona. Elliot Court, 15th position for him, and Arnav Singh will start 16th. AJ Rosselli down in 17th, and Cameron Brown in 18th position. That runs off your 9th row. Eric Hulsband down in 19th, and Anthony Cuthbert will be starting in 20th position. Kyle Robertson, 21st for him, and Tyler Carr will be starting 22nd for the number 923. Andrew Herschel, 23rd for him, and Cadence Presley down in 24th. And after that, I believe we've got a couple more to go. From 25th, it's Tyler King to Joe Manzoli in 26th. Miles Brown will start 27th. Kevin Roll, 28th position for him, and Zohair Ahmad will start 29th. Chris Waits, 30th, and unfortunately the last driver in the Aerokinetics team, one of the liveries we favor here, Lucas Souza, will be starting at the back.
What are we expecting in this Pro Series then tonight, Shay? Because we've just seen drama, chaos, a lot happen in the amateur race. What do we expect from the pros tonight?
Well, I honestly, I think I might see a little bit of war out here. With the Pro-Ams, we saw 2 Porsches flip over the dirt, and that was completely unexpected. So who knows what the rest of this track and this layout and this weather combination has in store for the rest of this race tonight.
And is it just me, Tristan, or does it look a lot brighter for this pro race almost?
It looks a lot
brighter. Yeah, it does
brighter.
Almost.
Not only does it look a lot brighter, but a lot of those qualifying times were insanely close. Maybe outside of the top 5, we were looking at pretty much almost nearly the same time for all the drivers across the board.
Yep.
Yeah, a little bit more of a closer grid, I'd say, here for the pro race. But unfortunately for the pro race, it means I think there's going to be less action, which is not an unfortunately, apologies for using that word. It more just means that there won't be as much to talk about in the virtual grandstand. I think the pros will be able to hold their feet a bit better here as we go on. But Matthew, I think you're all fine and ready now. It sounds like the audio issues are all good. So it means you get to start the starting procedure for the home track.
Yes, well, hopefully, touch wood, it all stays working okay. Again, apologies for this. We are working with a power outage in my home at the moment, so we are on limited resources here. But for the final time this evening, the third to last round, it's Hooverson who gets us away well. At the line, we are green and go as the back runners still come through the Goddard hairpin. Down in towards turn 1, Hooverson leads with the Aston Martin looking to make a move on that inside line. They all filter through Redgate, 2 or 3 abreast at times. Now into the tricky Craner curves through Hollywood. Craner curves we go. Look at them, still all side by side, jostling for position as they filter down this hill. It's like the El Rouge, but in reverse through the Craner curves. Old hairpin coming up. Do we see any people run deep onto that gravel or grass? All through nicely through the trickiest part of the circuit at the moment, up towards McLean's though, and it is Hooverson and Dragota who have just started to break away from Grabowski. Not really many movers or shakers at the moment. Great start though from everybody out there.
Yeah, we can't compare it too much, though, compared to our AMs. They managed to keep the same consistency at the start of the race, so they've followed suite here so far. Presley and Brown all switching up, and Hulsband also dropping off a little bit further down to 24th. Porter's had an issue. Somebody's around. That's in the middle of the track, and unfortunately, that's going to cause incidents. That's one of the big Mustangs, and I believe that might be Klubine. And apologies, Klubine is from the AM class. Similar livery, though, at the back there. But a couple of drivers, unfortunately, into the second sector, just losing the grips there. And as the track actually begins to start, and the starting procedure begins to end, unfortunately, the drivers begin to find themselves in a bit of a tough situation. A couple of drivers facing backwards there, and a couple dropping off as well. The Mustang in the middle that got hit is still in the race, though, and he hasn't lost out too much here. But now, for Marley Joff, 1 position down, trying to fight. Presley is also dropping hugely down in 25th position. There is so much action going all over.
There is so much action going all over, and we've just had a big incident from our producer, Jim, in our ears. So, not sure what has happened, but we'll try and get a bit of some replay shots of that momentarily. I'm not seeing any rain on my screen now. I could be wrong, and Jim will tell me if I am wrong, but this is what has happened through the foggy S's. This is Andrew Herschel then, coming down towards the Melbourne Loop. We're just going to see... Oh no, same as the AM race, just so late on the... Oh, the Golden Pigeons have all hit each other.
Yeah, they're fighting over the same nest.
Each other. Oh, they're fighting over the same nest. Oh, that is Andrew Herschel into his teammate into the back of him. Oh, it's just a chaos end to the first lap here at the two hairpin corners. We saw it in the AM class, didn't we, Tristan, with drivers just not being able to stop in time at the hairpin.
Yeah, we saw it a couple of times, especially with the rain. I do see what you mean. And again, I think it's just due to the trackside cameras. The aperture of the lenses picked. Unfortunately, you don't really see the rain much, but it could possibly be. But like you say, our producer will give us a good shunt in the background if we're calling something that's not there. I mean, it would be ideal to maybe see the rain disappear a bit. Maybe we could see some different kind of racing action. Zurich moves up into 7th position now, and the rest are all trying to scale behind him. And so far, the top still fine. Pala moves up into 3rd position. I was about to say it's all keeping the same, but Pala has decided to change that up. Unfortunately, doesn't have the inside going into Goddard's, and he will lose it out now to the likes of Grabowski yet again.
No, he won't.
But now he's converted. Yeah, he's got the inside line going into turn number 1 now. So great maneuver there to position himself for Redgate, and now he'll hold it from the likes of Grabowski. Great stuff from Pala. Let's hope he can keep it up in the top 3.
And he's used his head there wisely. He got up the inside at the Melbourne Loop to put him on the outside of Goddard's, knowing that if he can hold it around that outside line, it'll put him on the inside for Redgate. Pala driving smart there. Great to see from the Hungarian as he moves up into P3 now. Can he hunt down after Dragotta and Hooverson? Grabowski and Joff, though, no slouches in these cars. They will look to fight back. We can see the spray from that Ford Mustang. Almost blue skies, it looks like, from above here at Donington Park. What a rarity to see here in the East Midlands. But yeah, Hooverson, Dragotta, Pala, you're now new top 3 in this race. And just look at that, a bit of opposite lock there for Grabowski as he slides off the curb through Coppice, and now that's going to put Marley Joff all over the back of him coming down towards the foggy S's.
I'm seeing it from the onboards of the drivers. I don't think there is actually much rain going on anymore. We were just on board there with I believe Grabowski, and I really wasn't seeing any drops on the windshield, so we could possibly be looking at some rain disappearing here. Torchio's lost out to Soto a bit further behind, and Moratz is struggling in this race. He's down to 10th currently and just not finding the grips, but this could all come into a completely different strategy. If the rain is going to start to disappear, it means they're going to have to change to dries. The track is going to begin drying, and that normal pit stop strategy, possibly a bit of a fuel strategy that could have come with a couple of these drivers, will completely change up if the weather decides to change. So we'll have to see how this is going to go on. Marley Joff has struggled to get past Grabowski, unfortunately, and just not finding the grips to get past. But hopefully in the next coming laps, he can find it in that Corvette to pass the Aston Martin and move up into the top 4.
We've been told that Kevin Rold has moved up 10 spots there. You can see in the Superlap Thais car, Mercedes-Benz, and coming through Redgate Corner. And yeah, definitely looks a lot brighter here at Donington Park. So we'll see what this does to the track if it isn't raining. Hooverson, though, still leads with Dragotta following him so far. Marox is tumbling down the order. Will we see Marox off somewhere? There he is. He's slow out of the old hairpins. We must have had a moment at the bottom of the hill, as that'll be Kyle Robertson going past him. And can Kevin Rold have a look? No, he can't. This is what has happened to Marox then. So they're coming through the crane of curbs, touches that inside curb. Just a little unsettled through
inside
old hairpin.
Calling it,
yeah, inside curb. Yeah. Just too greedy. And the bonus is in the dry, you can really cut that curb with almost half a car in the dry through the old hairpin. In the wet, you just do not stand a chance. Only a half spin, though. He did well to keep that out the gravel.
Oh, well, he almost joined into the racing line there. That could have been a little bit eventful there for Marcel. He kind of joined as the drivers were trying to pass him. So, fortunately, no incident points for him there. Unfortunately, no one smacked into the side of his car, and he continues going on. Joe Manzoli, one of the more cleaner liveries that we've mentioned, he almost loses it on the exit there of the S's there, just coming onto towards the Melbourne hairpin now on the backside of one of the Golden Pigeons now of Herschel. as he tries to make his way around. But back up towards the top, it is Ghulam Andre. He's currently leading a bit of a pack here, and that's towards Panicha, who's just up in front of him. So Andre Panicha is up in front of him, apologies, and he's got Soto and Dunnett and Torcho all leading behind him, and also very, very striking livery coming from Andre. I mean, very red, very black and bold, so he's definitely trying to prove his intimidation out on track with the rest. Balla's falling down the back. Yeah, Balla is he's at an instant there. He's on the right-hand side. Yeah, same thing that he's done with his teammate, except a little bit later on down the curves over here, and just very unfortunate for the Seshay driver. We'll get a bit of a replay there as to what happened to him.
Oh, and he's nearly just been clattered in the boot lid there by Cuthbert, that looked like. It got a little bit close. Cuthbert nearly onto the grass, coming just after Starkey's bridge. But yeah, this is what has happened to Balla's Paladin. So he's coming down the crane of curves. And is it exactly a carbon copy of what happened to Marox just a few moments ago? Is he going to get on that inside curb? Yes, he is. Round she goes. Except, unlike Marox, who had that half spin, he's gone fully around. And yeah, that has cost Balla's Pala, who looked quick at the start of this race. He made some progression forward and looked to try and get onto the back of the front two, but not to be now in this race. He's got to work hard. Zurek has got past Grabowski, and Pedersen is up into third. Molly Joff now down in sixth place. And this is Pedersen defending from the back of Zurek there. Then with the Grabowski on the outside, Molly Joff nearly into the back of Grabowski. And these four all fighting hard.
Yeah, fighting hard indeed, trying to get this final podium spot, and Peterson is gatekeeping a little bit from Zurek and Grabowski, who's obviously lost out a bit. And I mean, Zurek's done well to get up into that mix, because it was Grabowski and Joff who held up in fourth and fifth, and Zurek's completely just taken it by storm and moved himself up into fourth position. And now it is up to Marley Joff and Grabowski to try and fight it out, or else Panicha is going to start to grow up behind them. And we know Panicha's speed. I mean, he won last round's race, obviously, when Peterson got the penalty that moved him down. But still, he was up there and he was able to be shifted. Oh, Grabowski gets a little bit... Oh, and there goes Grabowski. That's an overtake there for Marley Joff. Grabowski gets a little bit loose out of the crane of curves and loses the rear there slightly. Thankfully, not off the track he will go, but he does lose a little bit of speed. Marox now climbing back on the grid as he tries to make his way back after the incident he had. But Joff now into the top five. What can he do to get past Zurek?
I believe Marox has just had another off track. Jim's just told us in our ears there. So Marox just struggling a little bit. This is what has happened to cause that off track again. Down the crane of curves, there you go. And has he just gone a little wide on the exit of Old Hairpin here? Not touching that in. Oh no, he still does. And again, just a little wiggle. And the car in front has a moment as well. But Marox went wide and just trying to dare touch that inside curb through the Old Hairpin. And Marox just having a bit of a snap. Manages to gain a place, though, on his recovery. Hooverson from Dragotta from Peterson now. This is your battle for third place. Peterson, Zurek, Joff and Grabowski, with that of Panicia in the background, trying to get onto the quartet in front. These your lead two, though. Coming through Redgate Corner. Little slide from Dragotta. Seen a lot of these Mustangs just having a few snappy moments.
Yeah, it seems like we saw it in the AM, and it's been converted here to the pros as well. The front engine Mustang just slightly heavier, and you can see it again there from Dragotta. I mean, just down the crane of curves here, and just completely the front end begins to twitch, and we've seen it with Pala and Marox, that if you don't control that twitch and you plant the car on the curb, unfortunately, it's very difficult to try and control the momentum and where the car is wanting to position itself. But for Dragotta, he's managing it very well, and I mean, for the young gun, up in second position currently, chasing onto the backside of Gregory Hooverson. And I mean, again, we always speak about the iRating difference. That's 10K versus 6K. It's the experience versus the younger driver over here. And I mean, just trying to prove his worth behind Leo Dragotta, pushing on the backside of Hooverson. And he was close. He is getting closer. It depends on the corner, though, as they have two completely different driving styles. But hopefully, we're going to see a battle here for the lead in the next coming laps.
Yeah, indeed, we hope so in this race. As we can see there, the iRating pops up on the screen now. And yeah, look at that difference between Hooverson and then Dragotta, and then down to Peterson as well. So a lot of variable difference in the iRating here at the league by Foxxtecca. But iRating is more just for how much you've kind of sweated out the simulator more than what driver skill you have. We know Dragotta is a very, very capable driver. of doing well. Molly Joff now getting up the inside through Goddard on that of Zurich, but that's going to allow the Ford Mustang to have the inside line for Redgate corner. Is it though? Because no, the Corvette has got the run out the corner. Molly Joff back up into P4 where he qualified. Ballas Pala has moved back up into 11th as well. And just these Ford Mustangs, for me, have looked, both in AM and now, they look the most unstable car out there at the moment. They just don't look comfortable at all. Remember as well, actually, all these cars run a default setup. They run a base setup on the cars. So it's not like drivers can tweak a setup to suit the conditions and their driving style. They are running a base setup in the car. So maybe the Mustang just struggling a little bit on that wet base setup.
I think it's worth noting that characteristically, the Mustangs have always been known as straight line vehicles, and even in their racing variants, very much straight line speed vehicles that have always kind of struggled a little bit with handling. So I think what we're seeing today is just a little bit of that come into effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it should be the same though for the Mercedes, and the Mercedes are definitely doing a little bit better out here than the Mustangs in terms of stability. I mean, this is why we talk about engine displacement so much in the league by Foxxtecca. Like Matthew mentioned, it's a fixed setup, which means that the setup cannot be the reason for the car having understeer, oversteer, or just different braking characteristics. It all comes down to that engine displacement and the weight of the car, and where the priority lies. And so it is a very completely different fight between the front, mids, and rears. Obviously, your only rears being featured are the Porsches, and I don't even know if we have any Porsches here in the pro race. Actually, we don't. I just analyzed the grid. We have no Porsches in the pro race, and we saw a couple of them in the AM races. We now see on the backside Tyler Carr really egging on Tyler King. It's the battle of the Tylers as they go around into the next corner here. What is it going to be? Tyler Carr and the slightly more unstable Mustang versus that Mercedes, who's managed to keep the traction out, and looks like Tyler King will be able to hold it. But indeed, it's that question again that there's lots of front engine cars here, and they're all trying to hold it. But before I pass over, Cadence Presley seems to have had a bit of an incident here. A bit of a replay as he comes up towards, not too sure which corner this is approaching. Looks like this is Melbourne Hairpin, and just a little bit run off wide. Fortunately, no incidents there for him, and he continues strong.
And the bonus for the Ford Mustangs tonight is there's going to be no kangaroos bouncing across the circuits. They haven't got to worry about slowing down in the straights to avoid the kangaroos tonight. As here is Paul Nye going deep on. And if you don't know what I mean by the kangaroo reference, go back and watch the Bathurst 12 hour. That will explain it all from the weekend. Scary moment of the kangaroo and Ford Mustang down the Conrod straight. Either way, Gregory Hooverson leads this race. At the moment, we've got another replay we're going to bring you now. So what? Oh no, sorry, we're back to the live action there. So here is Tyler Cott trying to gain on the back of Rold now. So he's lost out to Rold over this last lap. Grabowski has dropped out down behind Zurich then, who he must have got ahead of at the Melbourne Hairpin. Pala's back up into P9. He's got ahead of Soto. And there is Panisia in the background, just lurking. He's just gaining, isn't he, on these front six cars?
Yeah, definitely. And he's doing a great job as well. We'll have to see if he's going to be able to break into that top six. We do mention he's getting closer. 7/10 now for Panicia on the backside. Marox is busy climbing up the grid. He's got to get past Rosselli and Dunnett though, and the next couple, and those are a bit more higher skilled contestants compared to what we've seen lower down. But Dennis Grabowski, he's going to be contesting now to keep Panicia behind as Panicia closes in on that battle between himself and Zurich. And I've got to say, Zurich, very, very favorable Mustang livery rocking there. I'm very biased on glowing blue, and he's rocking that absolutely. It's a very simple livery, but it's definitely dominant out in front there. You can see just on the backside as Grabowski is trying to work his place closer and closer. Checkmate, it says on the backside of Zurich, so his team checkmate. But I suppose he can also put someone else in checkmate by boxing them in or putting his car up in front, as he'll continue to push on strong. But Zurich to Grabowski to Panicia. Who's it going to be as they all come now? Three abreast, three long, apologies. And shortly we might see Panicia climbing up.
Just saw Grabowski coming out to Coppice while you were saying that, Tristan. Just had a bit of a slide on the exit of Coppice through the right hand of that. Just put Panicia on the back of him a little bit closer. So, Grabowski's just got to try and get this into a nice rhythm. Here is Andrew Herschel then, a look back to what has happened to him. Again, down towards the Melbourne Hairpin. And, just a little bit deep again from that. They're just catching Jim Cunningham out tonight, are these drivers at the Melbourne hairpin. Cameron Brown just following behind. It almost looks like the puddles seem to be disappearing just a little bit on the racetrack. They don't seem to be as formidable on the circuit as what they was in the amateur league. I say that, then the bottom of the old hairpin is absolutely soaked, but it's at the bottom of a hill, so what else do you expect as they climb under Starkey's Bridge? Great to see the Sparkplug Marshall's post in the background as well. That hasn't been at Donington for years, so great to see some old features here on iRacing platform of Donington Park. Takes me back a few years, that does. As Joff now just starting to put the hammer down a little bit and get onto the back of Pedersen here then, and maybe make some inroads on that podium spot. That's a back marker just ahead of them because they're 5 seconds off the back of Dragotta and Hooverson. But we're 17 minutes into this race, and so far it's been pretty good. Here is, though, Panicia side by side with Grabowski on the outside line of the Foggy S's, and breaks a little bit earlier, backs out of that one, and lets the Aston Martin go.
Yeah, Benicia's got to watch out here. He doesn't want to put too much aggression, but here he goes side by side now with Grabowski into the Melbourne hairpin as they go around now, trying to make their way around. It is officially 17 minutes in. We've reached the first quarter of this 1 hour race. And I definitely think that pit stop strategy is going to be completely changed up now. Those puddles are beginning to dissipate. Obviously, at the bottom of the Craner curves, it's going to be there for a while. Like you mentioned, it's downhill. It's called physics, if you didn't understand why it's down there. But the rest of the puddles will begin to disappear as the rain has definitely lifted off. There is no more rain pouring down. And I think is that good luck in England? I don't know if that's a thing, Matthew.
You normally get a good cheer from the crowd when the rain stops. Yeah, I will admit that. Interesting to see there, one of the Mercedes on the start-finish line there just pulled across offline, maybe to cool them tyres. I doubt it at the moment because the track online still looks pretty wet, but may just be starting to overheat slightly. And this now changes the whole strategy, Tristan, because what we saw in race one, where drivers just went that two and a bit minutes longer than normal. Sorry, three and a bit minutes longer than normal. Got maybe 1 or 2 laps extra out of it than normal. These drivers in the Pro, with the track just drying ever so slightly, that's just going to change the fuel calculations a little bit, and you may just have to pit closer to that 35-minute mark. We will see, though, when we get there, but it's so far Pedersen trying to fend off Joff, and Benicia still staring at the back of Grabowski's Aston Martin.
Another big thing as well is that the pit stop, the physical pit stop time for most of these drivers is going to be slightly longer, as they will definitely need to be changing tyres here. If it comes to that half an hour mark, or whenever they are ready to pit, if that track is dry enough for the dry compound tyre to be pulled out, it will take a little bit of time to change. But one thing we do know about the iRacing platform compared to other sims is that the wet weather tyre does tend to perform pretty well, and it's very versatile. It is still often the faster tyre, even if the track is just barely wet. It will still be the slightly faster tyre, and a little bit more manageable as well for the drivers, because the slicks are very, very difficult to control. Presley, I did see a black flag penalty, but I also see a yellow flag, so he served the yellow and he's got a black, unfortunately. No. Oh, there's contact. That's for Tyler King and Robertson. They've got around onto the racing line. Unfortunately, therefore, the big Mustang, the big blue Mustang over there, I believe Cuthbert, he manages to avoid there, but that could have been bad. Tyler King into the wall, trying to get that Mercedes rotated again. Soto between, I believe, Torcho, bumping each other down that down the Craner curves over here, and it's getting very close, and there it goes down the Craner curves, and Soto goes around into the gravel.
And the amount of times in the real life racing that I have seen that incident happen in front of my very eyes, you have to be so in control of your car, but you have to be so trustworthy of the guy you're going side by side with down the Craner curves. A common incident at Donington Park, that one. And yeah, exactly what was going to come off there. It was never going to happen. They just didn't seem to have the trust in each other to get side by side through the Craners, and then the old hairpin. There's Panicia still on the back of Grabowski. And you're saying about that wet tyre there, Tristan, it's almost like that greasier sort of surface as it starts to dry still favours that wet tyre really, really well. It has to almost be fully dry before that slick tyre really starts to be the dominant tyre.
Yeah, unfortunately, if we do see a pit stop in the next, I'd say, 10 minutes or so, and the driver chooses to come out on the dries, I think they will struggle very much so. As you can see on the left and right-hand side of the main straight, coming in towards Redgate, there is still lots of water that is formed. And that is obviously also going to allow the drivers to use those as cool-off spots as the racing line begins to dry. But they do need to watch out, because if you do decide to switch off to the dry tires, you cannot switch back to the wets without a very long pit stop. And if it's very difficult to manage, unfortunately, you're going to ruin most of your race. So you've got to choose your strategy right here. Is it going to be a stay out on the wets for the whole race, or is someone going to take the gamble and go to the dryers and try and gain that speed advantage?
And that's the interesting thing about this, the ruling that we have here at Foxxtecca with the limited fuel capacity, with the fuel you're allowed to put in to start the race. This almost makes it sort of that you've really got to think of, I've got to pit around that 30-35 minute mark. If it dries enough, do I put the slick tyre on? If it doesn't, what do I do? As Grabowski's had a mistake on the exit of Coppice Corner. That's allowed Panitia and Pala through. So not sure what happened to Grabowski there. We just saw him slow as the camera panned around, but he's lost out 2 places. This is a look back at what has happened then. So coming through McLean's. There we go, screen's on froze up towards Coppice now. So he's not on... outside curb. Just braked a little bit on that outside curb. You saw the car twitch. He's done well to save it, but loses 2 places.
Yeah, unfortunately there for Grabowski. A little bit of a twitch onto the entrance of the corner as well. And thankfully those curbs are starting to dry up, because if that was a full wet curb, I reckon he would have been sideways there, unfortunately. Fortunately for him, though, it wasn't. It's drying up slightly, and so that curb a little bit more easy to tackle. Marox also trying to make his way. I've done it is on the backside of him as they try to chase onto the backside of Torchio now. And Marots and the likes of Pala, the 2 Sesha esports drivers, are trying to make their way up on this grid. Unfortunately, Marots a little bit further behind Pala, as he had a much longer duration spin, and obviously a little bit further down on the grid pack as well. He's trying to make his way around now, and Torchio will be next to overtake up in front. We'll have to see, will Torchio be able to defend, or will Pala from Sesha make his overtake happen in the next couple of laps? But we are nearing that halfway mark. Those pit stops are going to start to become apparent shortly, as I definitely believe the fuel consumption is going to be slightly higher with that dry line being a lot easier to drive on.
It does seem to be, and look, there seems to be a lack of spray coming off these cars now. It's still there, there is a lot less spray at this stage of the race, 23 minutes in, than what we saw at the beginning. And Shay, what would your strategy be here? You've got about 11 and a half minutes till the pit stops. The spray getting less and less. We've got 31 GT3 cars clearing the racetrack of standing water. What do you do here?
I honestly would try to conserve some here. I would try not to overdrive the car, because the conditions are only going to be... they're just going to get more and more slippy, especially after the tire change. If you're still trying to make the adjustment from dry to wet, it's still very slippy. So I'd conserve and then just kind of wait for the rest of the field to maybe drive themselves out or create the gaps.
What's happened to Pala there? Pala's just gone incredibly slow out of the Melbourne hairpin, and Panitia has just driven... Has he still got a problem? Pala's got a problem here. He is incredibly slow. Grabowski's gone past... he's pulled off the circuit.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
that seems a technical issue. That seems like a technical issue with his possible wheel or pedals there. So yeah, Pala. Well, is that the defending? It looks like it's sorted, because he's got back going. But is that possibly the defending champion here? Out the running for this championship, because that is not the way he'd have wanted to do this race.
Yeah, you saw them out of the. I think he did damage the front left as soon as he hit the wall, but you saw there as soon as I think his force feedback might have had a bit of an issue there. You saw as it just reset how the front wheels just immediately locked straight after being planted in the wall for a bit. So definitely a bit of a technical fault coming in there for Ballas Pala. Nothing he can do about that one, and that's very unfortunate for him. He's moved down quite a lot here, and he's lost a lot of positions. Down to 18th he will go, and it's going to be a long fight up the grid here, trying to keep it consistent. But towards the top, though, it is Hooverson to Dragota, and these two have been fighting for quite some time, but it has been a slightly more experienced driver of Hooverson who has held that P1 slot and just not let Dragota get past as of yet. The number 18 has done everything he can so far, but he's also trying to race as clean as possible. They don't want to make any aggressive moves that are going to ruin the two of those race. We've seen it, unfortunately, already now on the past with a couple of the drivers in the mid-pack, as we now see Marat's getting ahead of Torchio. But Leo Dragota will be very precise as to where he wants to overtake Hooverson, as we now see them side by side coming into Redgate. Not Redgate, apologies, already through the next couple of corners of the track. Sorry, this is coming into Goddard, into Redgate now, and it is going to be Marat on the inside line. He's going to have the advantage coming into Redgate, And unfortunately, Torcho is going to lose out here unless he gets a bit of a better run on the outside. Unfortunately not. And Marat will move up into 9th position ahead of Torcho.
I'd love to try and see if we can get an onboard shot of this circuit, because it does look in places like it is getting that little bit drier every single lap. Down the start straight, barely any spray. We know the Craner Curves is the wettest part of the track at the moment into the old hairpin. We just see here now, look at the car spray in front. Look at how much it will change here, coming up through the up the hill through Starkey's Bridge in towards the Schwantz Curve, and now to the right of McLean's here. Look at that spray of the car in front just get a little bit less and less as Maroc's a full opposite lock there for the Ford Mustang driver. Manages to hold on to it. Great car control from the Hungarian. Absolutely brilliant from the Sachet esports driver there through McLean's. But yeah, it looks a little mistier. Cloud cover has come back over here at Donington Park, but that spray getting less and less here on circuit at the moment. So interesting to see with them pit stops approaching.
Yeah, I wonder if the rain is going to make a full circle. If it decides to come back towards the end of the race, that would again play the strategy. It would be the worst thing if a driver goes on to dries and then it completely starts to come down with rain again. That would be a complete change of strategy that they'd have to perform. But yes, Kevin Rold on the inside line now of Singh, and we'll have to see if this is going to be an overtake. Indeed it is. Singh goes completely wide through the Melbourne hairpin, and fortunately for Kevin Rold, he's going to have the inside line now for Goddard's. But if the likes of Singh can keep the outside going into Redgate, he's going to have the advantage, and looks like he might. He's trying to keep the outside line here, but Rold is going to convert that car onto the inside for the next corner. Great defensive moving here from Kevin Rold to maintain that position, and Singh is forced wide. Actually, Kevin Rold goes wide again now, but it's a good enough distance from Singh to take the normal racing line. Great move, though, from Kevin Rold.
Yep, great move indeed as the mist now descends over Donington Park. We'll see if, like Tristan's just said, that weather comes back around to being wet here as rolled up 15 places. We've had another incident with Pala, so I'm not sure if it's another technical issue. He is... Oh, he's all right. Sorry, Jim. Yeah, Jim just thought there was an issue for Pala, but no, he's just down in 17th after that technical issue that he's had. Hooverson here, he's been in control of this race so far, but he's not yet pulled away from Leo Dragotta, has he? He's just being able to keep Dragotta at bay for the time being. Dragotta, though, driving a great race at the moment. That standing water on the inside curb of Goddard's definitely looks a lot smaller. So these GT3 cars are clearing that bit of standing water as Dragotta tries to cool the tyres down a little bit by driving off the line. So if you're wondering why they keep going offline, it's not to try and necessarily make an overtake into the corner. It's to just possibly cool their tyres down as they may be overheating slightly with these drying track conditions. Down the Craner Curves they go, and even the Craner Curves looks like it's got less spray. And what is happening down here with Singh? He's got ahead of Soto. No, this is Soto attacking Singh. Late dive up the inside from Soto. Goes very, very deep. Has this, though, put him on the inside line for Redgate just after? It may have done. Has he got the exit? Pala's back into the pit lane. Soto still there, coming down into Redgate corner. He's on the wetter part of the circuit than the racing line. And Russell Soto trying to get this one done. Not got it finished yet. They touched just a little bit more, and now into the Craner Curve. Side by side they go. And will Singh back out of this one? Yes, he does.
A great move there from Arnav Singh, and unfortunately for himself, looks like Roldan Soto still able to keep that lead up in front, and so Singh has actually lost out to both of the pigeons now, as rolled obviously a couple of laps earlier. Now Soto has made his way up, but looking at the virtual grandstand, we do have someone saying hard left is a wheel disconnect. So indeed, we saw that with Ballas Pala. It was a very hard flick to the left, nothing that a human arm can do. It was very computerized and unfortunately representing a bit of a wheel disconnect for Ballas Pala. So 100% confirming the technical fault. And he's gone into the pit lane now. Yeah, I think it is raining indeed. I think we might have a downpour yet again coming your way. And this means the strategy will come back into play of what the drivers were originally hoping for. The track is going to cool down again, and the drivers will have to worry about those curves. You can see there we go. The spray is enhancing, and on the front windshield you can just barely see it, but the rain is definitely back in effect here. The drivers are going to have to watch out now. As you can see, a little bit of a slip up there from Brown. He's trying to control that Mercedes, but with the slightly more wet track as it dampens again, that Mercedes just struggling to control itself up in front.
Yeah, and this is the problem now. The tyres would have just been overheating just a little bit, just getting a little bit warm. Now that rain's starting to fall, these wet tyres will start to come back into a window. Look at the racing line and how dry that racing line looks coming down towards the Melbourne Loop. That's now going to go. It's going to wet up. It's going to get wetter and wetter, just allowing these wet tyres to just come down in temperature, just come down in maybe a bit of pressure. They may have just started to overpressure and overheat a little bit. You can see how dry it got. Look, down the back straight into the foggy S's goes Dragotta and Hooverson. But with that rain just starting to fall, it is maybe going to change the way this circuit runs, and it very, very dry down in towards the Melbourne hairpin.
Well, now I don't know about the rain. I don't know if that was just a bit of a drizzle because it's looking completely dry again. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, the best place to see it is on the front windshield of the drivers in the cockpit. But again, that can just be the spray from the driver up in front. So, I mean, best bet would be to go to a driver like Greg Hooverson. Let's have a look at what his windshield is looking like. And possibly, I mean, you can see, yeah, there's nothing dropping at all. It's completely dry again from the sky. And just a bit of spray around the track that will be wiping off from the windshield. So it's gone dry again. You can see there's a little bit there, but I think that's just splash up from the racetrack possibly. I don't think there's anything falling as of yet right now. So the drivers will continue going on. Zurich, first driver to pit at the 32-minute mark. And we'll have to see what will the strategy be now. It's the first pit stop. It is going to be the undercut over the rest as Andre and Grabowski now move up into 6 and 7. Joff into 4th position onto the backside of Peterson. When will the rest of the top decide to pit?
Well, Patler actually pitted around the 29-minute mark, so that might not get him to the end of this race, but that could also be him pitting just to try and get this, whatever wheel issues he's got, sorted. And he had the damage from when he hit the wall with that wheel disconnect. This is Marley Joff getting a little closer to Peterson here then, just to try and maybe get onto that podium. Needs a good race, just Joff. Needs to just extend that championship lead from Peterson. This isn't really the top two in the championship fighting it out here. So Peterson would love to stay in front as Singh now leaves the pit lane as well. So an interesting race here at Donington Park. We saw the full wet where it rained for the whole race of the AM category. We've had a little shower just blow over the circuit momentarily. A few spots here and there. And now it looks like it's starting to dry out once again. Of Greg Hooverson leading this race. Not even got the white Dragottas. He's still got the wipers on just behind. That'll be from the spray of Hooverson. Still looks pretty misty though at the moment, so we'll see what the weather's going to be in for. But that spray getting less and less, and you see Dragotta and Hooverson there both going offline a little bit to cool them tyres down.
The biggest question now is going to be that pit stop strategy. I mean, because we can see on the curbs it's still a little bit wet, but I mean, look at how dry that racing line is, and obviously that's where the drivers are spending 99% of the time. And those wet tyres are definitely going to start to cook now, well over 31 degrees PSI. And they've definitely got to watch out for it as they continue to go around the track. Sorry, not 31 degrees, 31 PSI. And there's a couple more. Marat comes in. Rosselli has also dropped down a bit slightly. And you'll see it on the main straights now. The drivers will be doing everything that they can to find the wet spots just to keep these tires nice and cool. There you can see Dragotta. They're both pulling all over, trying to find a nice bit of wet patching as they now come into the McLean and up towards the next couple of corners onto the back straight. They will go, and through Coppice they will come now, and on the back straight coming down towards Fogarty S's and Dragotta almost side by side now as they all look for some dry spots. For some wet spots around the track. The rest of the cars though, Marat comes out of the pit lane, Halsband into the pit stop, and around the 35-minute mark. So good time for the pit stop to be happening. But what is going to be the best play in terms of strategy?
What is going to be the best play in terms of strategy here, because that's a lot of this spray is gone on some of the straights here at Donington Park. Just look up towards the Goddard's hairpin here. The spray doesn't look a lot coming off the back of the cars, if any. But we'll see what happens here in this race. Rosselli at the moment, we're being told by Jim that several drivers are on the slick tyre. We're going to get a graphic up on screen in a moment just to show you who is on the slick tyre and who is on the wet. So there you go. Keep your eyes on Marox. He's put the slick tyre on. So the Sesche Esports driver has risked a strategy. He's already had a spin earlier in this race, and he's risking the slick tyre. So let's see what he can do now on this new tyre. Grabowski into the pits. Will he change?
That's going to be the biggest question. Panicia also, he'll be coming in soon. Grabowski, like we just mentioned, has just come into the pit stop. Zurek pitted, but he stayed on the wet tyres, and Grabowski's out on the dries. So I don't know if Zurich pitted a little bit too early, and it's kind of played with his judgment. He pitted when the track was slightly more wet, and he stayed on that wet compound tire. But the other contestants for the podium have come out on dries. Grabowski's on the dry tire. Brown, Halsband, they've all come out on the dry tire. And it looks like it's going to be the global choice here for most of the cars is that dry compound tire. And I think it might be the correct decision unless it begins to rain again. But that racing line is so dry now at this point that those wets are just completely overheating themselves, as we see Marot's major advantage over Brown. Into Goddard's he goes, and he is just finding the grip now on those slick tires. The rest of the drivers all following in suite, and now the Seshe drivers find themselves together out on track, the one on the wets, the one on the dries. This is going to be a direct comparison though of who is going to be much faster through these next couple of sections. And Marot, let's see if he can catch up to his teammate on the dry compound.
Well, Marot doesn't want to do what he's just done at turn 1 there. He ran out into all the puddles on the curbs on the outside of turn number 1. Does not want to do that. He does not want to cool these slick tyres down at all. He's got the bonus over Grabowski as well, because he's been on them a little bit longer, so they'd have got a bit more temperature, a bit more pressure in them, which would have just allowed his tyres to be in a better window than Grabowski's as he goes straight on at McLean's. And that just shows you there that the minute you touch one of the wet curbs or a wetter part of the circuit, it is going to hurt you. Marley Joff on the dry tyres. Hooverson and Dragota have stayed on the wets. What about Peterson? Peterson has also stayed on the wet tyre. So a huge decision from the championship leader in this race.
Yeah, this is all to play for now for Marley Joff. Is this going to work in his favour? Are we going to see a massive climb up on the field from Marley Joff, or is this going to be the drop-off of the century? He's on the pit exit now. We've seen it with the likes of Marat. He's incredibly quick if he can stay on that racing line, but as soon as you touch a wet curb, unfortunately that car does get sent off on the left or the right-hand side and just not controllable with the low amount of grip on those slick tires. And so we'll have to see, has Marley Joff made the correct call here? Let's see how fast he catches up to Kevin Rold. The main question is consistency is going to be key. He cannot touch a wet curb. If he does, it is going to be a spin for the blue and red Corvette.
And this is now the hard part of the race for Marley Joff, isn't it? Because if he needs to overtake a car, he might be the one who has to go off of line onto that wetter part of the circuit. Grabowski's just started his first lap since his out lap. So we'll have to keep our eyes on Grabowski's lap times compared to those drivers who have stayed on the wets ahead of him. This could be the telltale sign whether or not it was the best move to go. I think the comparison between Grabowski and Palla, who's been out their pits for a couple of laps now, could be the ones to keep our eyes on whether that dry tyre is quicker than the wet or not. But either way, the pro drivers, bit of strategy, not just in terms of fuel, but in terms of tyre situation, as Marley Joff gaining on the back of Rold. Rold yet to pit, remember. The only drivers ahead of Joff who have pitted is Pedersen, Dragota and Hooverson in this race. And look at Joff, just the confidence on that slick tyre to get up and past on the racing line ahead of Rold. I think it's dry tyre time, to be fair. Has Hooverson, Pedersen and Dragota made a...
I think they have. I think they've all made the correct judgment, yeah. Personally for myself, especially from what I can see from the camera angles here, and I think you've got an even better perspective when you're the driver in the cars. I think the dry tyre is definitely going to be the choice here. We see Rold, Andre, and done it all coming in, and now Joff has been promoted back up to 4th position on the backside of that main leading pack. But here's the difference: the only driver in the top 5 currently on that dry compound tire, and we'll have to see, is this going to play into his advantage here? You can see he is closing in drastically, 2 tenths just through the Craner curves here with those dry compound tires, and he's going to be chasing onto Peterson now, coming up towards McLean and Copris. This is going to be a massive difference. 1.9 seconds. He's gained 5 tenths in the past 2 corners. This is a much better differentiation here for the dry compound tire. Can Joff keep the consistency? Because this might be a race win with this strategy.
You saw it coming through Redgate and down the Craner curves. The puddles don't look nowhere near as bad on the curbs at the moment. It doesn't mean there's no water sat in the curbs, but the puddles around that outside of the circuit do not look nowhere near as bad. You've got that one puddle there in the middle of the S's, but there's only really one line through chicane. So the drivers aren't going to be too worried there. And look at this. He was over 2 seconds behind at the start of this lap from Pedersen. And now look, he is right under the rear wing of the Mercedes-Benz. He's got the grip. He's got the confidence. He'll be on the racing line in the braking zone. Marley Joff looks to go around the outside of Pedersen, who goes a little bit deep. Joff can't get the momentum out the corner though, and it is slick tyre weather. The leaders have made a mistake by not changing tyres, and Marley Joff, with all this confidence, goes onto the wetter part of the circuit and goes up the inside at Redgate corner. What a move from the Brit who leads this championship.
Oh, but he's on the curb, unfortunately. And this is going to be the difficulty now of passing the leaders, is that on the wet, especially on the wet side of the track where the curbs are covered in water, they'll still have the main advantage over here. And the issue is that they keep planting the car, and you can see it from Peterson's strategies that he keeps planting the car in the heavy braking zones, which forces Marley to just overslow the car and stay behind. He cannot risk going on that wet and potentially losing the car due to grip loss. He's got to stay on that dry compound tire. And as long as Peterson holds that dry compound, as you can see what he's doing, he's completely blocking Joff from gaining the advantage. This is going to be a bit of a difficult one, but there it is. And there it's lost. Yeah, this is going to be the difficulty on the wet. And unfortunately, Joff just gets forced on the wet line by Peterson. Good defensive strategy there, but unfortunately for Joff, it's not going to work unless he can stay on that dry line.
The problem for the front three is how quickly do them wet tyres go off? Because if them wet tyres start to lose performance, you could just tell the difference in performance between Marley Joff and Peterson there. If them wet tyres on the front three start to drop off a cliff quick, then the slick drivers will be the ones to keep our eyes on. Grabowski's lap time compared to first and second, Tristan, I don't have that information, sadly, so you'll have to let us know.
It's 1 minute 31 was Dennis Grabowski, 1:35 for Hooverson, so 4 seconds faster.
4 seconds. So them wet tyres starting to overheat, overpressure, are really starting to lose that lack of grip. Grabowski with that fastest lap
now, sorry,
of the race. He's gained nearly 5 seconds over Hooverson. Big difference. Big difference.
The main fight here is going to be getting past, and that's going to be the contention here. As we see, Hooverson and Dragado are exchanging positions on that wet compound tire up in front as they try and navigate the back marks. I did just see them switch around as they try and get past. I believe that's Robertson or one of the FX simulation drivers, possibly Brown, Miles Brown, as he's trying to sit behind there. But Dragado just trying to get past now. The question is, how are Joff and Grabowski going to get past Peterson? He is playing such an aggressive strategy of forcing those dry tires on the wet. And we saw what that caused for the likes of Joff. No grip whatsoever on those fast right-handers and just completely losing the car. So they really have to pick their moment right here. But as you mentioned, those wet compound tires are eventually going to get to a point where they cannot keep up anymore. They're going to start to overheat completely, and they're going to lose all forms of rotation as we see the two of them in the chicane here, just bashing into each other as Dragado is trying to get past Hooverson. But again, Hooverson is planting the car to not allow the young gun to get up in front.
Oh, it's raining! It's raining! The rain has just started. Oh, so all of a sudden now all this talk of flying circuit and the fact that the slick tyres was nearly 5 seconds a lap quicker, the rain has just started to pour. Oh my days, how that swings back into the hands of the top three.
And just when we thought Donington has given us all, it gives us even more. So I don't know what's going to happen now. Grabowski and Joff, depending on if this is yet another small cloud burst or if this is going to be a full downpour, this could either make or break their race again. This could be it for the likes of Grabowski and Joff. If the rain pours down, unfortunately, those slick compound tires are going to absolutely be smothered in this rain. They're going to have to come in and box for the wet, as we do see Dennis Grabowski trying to get all of his advantage while he still can. The rain is coming all over, and there he goes off the track, unfortunately. No grip in those slick compound tires, and I think the rain is pouring. We'll go on board quickly with one of the drivers to try and see that front windshield. Maybe with the likes of Nikolai Peterson, because he's up in front. My goodness, the rain is pouring. This is bad news for the dry compounds.
Game over for the slicks. I mean, it's going to take a while for that track to just get a little bit wetter. You can see Grabowski driving through the puddles. The slick tyre still seems to have the advantage over the wet at the because Grabowski and Joff are all over the back of Peterson so far. Peterson's tyres have got to cool down. The track's got to get wetter at this moment. But is this a passing shower or is this the downpour till the end? We'll wait and see. But look, still Grabowski and Joff have so much more confidence over Peterson. Grabowski, though, a day late and $1 short. Hairpin. That allows Joff back through. And still look at the confidence and the grip that Joff has out the corner.
Yeah, I think Joff's officially got the position made now. Thankfully, he's up ahead of Nikolai Peterson, but it's not going to be enough. I don't think it's going to be enough, unfortunately. This rain is going to jeopardize that dry compound tire. Give it 2 or 3 more laps. If we were looking at 5 minutes left of racing, maybe this could still be in the play, but unfortunately 15 minutes, that's going to allow a lot of rain to downpour here. As we do see, they both now get past the likes, but again, he's going to be on that wet tire, that wet curb on the left-hand side, and Peterson, again, getting that advantage. But look at the distance that Joff has been able to pull now just from getting ahead of Peterson. I just don't think it's enough, unfortunately. 15 minutes left of racing, and the rain is definitely pouring down. If the rain stops, though, it's danger again for the wet compound tire runners. We don't know what's going to happen here, and the weather is very unpredictable.
It is very unpredictable. And yeah, well, let's wait and see what happens as Grabowski and Joff still going at it at the moment. Has the rain stopped again? Was it just... No, it is still. No, it is still coming now. I'm still seeing it on the cameras there. Yeah, it's still there. So the rain is still pouring. The problem is, this slick tyre is still the better tyre to be on at this stage of the race. You can just tell from Grabowski's point of view here how much more grip he's got than Pedersen, who now drops down another position. Well, look, keep your eyes on them lap times on the side of your screen as Maroc sets the fastest lap of the race with a 29.5. So keep your eyes on them lap times. The minute they start, the closer they get, the more it will start to favour that wet tyre, as there's Ballas Pala just struggling on his wet tyre, and that is Torchio going past him through Coppice and Shea. All of a sudden, this race comes to life.
Yeah, this race is definitely, and I mean, one thing to talk about, go look at Marley Joff. It was 4.5 seconds. It's 1.7 seconds to the leaders now. Joff is closing in absolutely tremendously fast. There he is on the likes of Dragotta. He's up into second position now. Could this still be the advantage? I think the rain is light enough, but the question is, in those final dire moments, is the slick compound tire going to be able to survive compared to the wets? We're trying to see it. It almost looks like Hooverson's missing a front bumper from this angle. I don't know if he is, but I think maybe he's just got a blacked out livery up on the front. No, he's missing a bumper.
No, he's missing it.
Hooverson's missing a bumper, and that's just going to be even more of a disadvantage now against Marley Joff, as he's going to get ahead in the next corner, possibly through the chicane he goes, and indeed he is. Joff reclaims the lead of this race. He is 5 seconds a lap faster than the rest of the cars behind him. But the question is he going to be able to hold it for the next 12 minutes? That is the title decider.
Well, I'd love to know what happened to Hooverson to lose that front bumper, because it's definitely not there. So we'll see what happens in this race, because like you say, that rain's still continuing to pour. The wet tyre runners still going offline, and the more they go offline, the more it to clear that water off the line of the circuit, just widening that drier patch on the track. But Marley Joff now, he's gone. He's absolutely gone. Maroc moves ahead of Zurich on the wet tyre, so Maroc is up to 6th. The rain is still pouring at the moment. This is down with Andre, who has now got past Zurich as well. So the slick tyre, still the tyre to be on. Grabowski's now got Dragotta. So Grabowski in this lap could possibly get Hooverson. This is so uncallable at the moment.
Some more news, and I think it's from some guys who are actually sitting in a possible call with Joff and the other drivers, but it seems the rain is only in the first and last sector of the track, which means that through the most pinnacle sections of the track, Sector 2 and 3. Grabowski is just making errors, though. He's going on the wet curbs. He needs to avoid them. But I think through Sector 2 and 3, where it is most important for it to be dry, it is currently not raining at all, or it's just very, very light. It's only Sector 1 and 4 where we're seeing that rain pour down, and that is still proving a massive advantage. Joff is 7 seconds ahead almost of Hooverson, and he is just going to continue to pull this. Can he hold it, though, for 10 minutes? This is where it's going to become dire. 10 minutes is all they need. Panisha sets the fastest lap, 1:29 flat. It is 6 seconds almost faster now than the mid-pack runners on the wet compound tire. This is an absolutely crazy race to end off with.
Dare we say it? Tristan, as there's a spinner that is caught, who's gone around out the exit of the old hairpin. But is this a championship drive from Marley Joff in this race? Is this a championship winning strategy in this one? He can't win it today, by the way. He's still got 2 races next week, and he's got the finale of Format A of Laguna Seca to end the season. But Marley Joff is on a mission. Is this a championship winning drive? This is what has happened to Pedersen, who's on that wet tyre down at the hairpin. And is this just going to be an outbreaking himself? Straight on he goes a little bit.
It's so overheating. Yeah. That wet tire is struggling far too much right now. And I think, I don't know, the slick is just managing. I do see from the spotter of Joff in the virtual grandstand, he's saying it's raining all over the track now. So they do now have to watch out through Sector 2 and Sector 3, because that is the most pinnacle parts of the dry compound tire, just really struggling. You can see it's all over for Marcel Maroc over here, raining all over. And that dry line is going to start to get wet. The question is, though, 9 minutes is all that they need to hold it. Can they build up big enough gaps to, struggle a little bit on those final last laps, but bring it home across the checkered flag. It is now 10.5 seconds of a lead from Joff to Grabowski. And remember that Grabowski is on the dry compound tire. From Grabowski, it is an even further 3-second gap. So there is a lot to play for here in this race. 9 minutes left, though. This is an exhilarating end to the race, Matthew.
It is indeed. What a race here at Donington Park. The thrills and spills of Donington Park. Here we go, side by side. Panicia and done it right around the outside. Now that is a great move from the Canadian driver. Tyre. And we see, look at the last lap times. 6 seconds exactly near enough for Joff to Grabowski. So Grabowski must have made another mistake, but it was 6.5 seconds that Joff was quicker than Hooverson. So he is still extending that lead in this race. The difference for me between Grabowski and Joff in this one, Grabowski still touching them wet curbs, still driving on them wetter lines. Joff putting the car where it needs to be on a rail in this one to keep pulling away.
Yeah, I don't know. This is it's all to play for. It's very exciting, and I'm not saying and I'm not calling anything until that final moment, as we again see Marat now moving ahead of Peterson. The wet is struggling direly. Even though it is raining, the wet is overheating completely, as we've seen it. Peterson is overshooting loads of corners here on that wet tire, and the dry compound tire is just finding this unhinged grip to just continue to get past. And that top 5 has almost been fully replaced now by dry compound tires. It's just Hooverson and Dragota holding on there. And as you can see, Andre is now within attacking distance. He's about to attack now, actually, and he might just attack. He actually does. He's about to attack into the next corner, and Dragota loses out yet another position to the dry compound runners. And now it is almost completely merged into a top 5 dry compound run. Hooverson is under pressure now, and he's going to lose out to Andre, unfortunately, because the dry compound is just still so much faster in these next minutes. It is now 7 minutes on the clock, Matthew. Just 7 minutes that the dry compound tires have to hold on for.
The problem here is, Tristan, has that wet tyre just burnt through to almost like a slick, where it's overheated, it's overpressured, it cannot find a way to cool down. Whereas the slick tyre runners, before this rain has came back, have got their tyres up to a good temperature, have got their tyres into a good pressure. Oh, there you see Andre just into the back of Hooverson slightly. So where the slicks can warm up and constantly warm up lap after lap after lap into a good window, the wets are doing the complete opposite. They're getting too hot, too warm, too worn, in fact. And that, I think, is what we're seeing here. Even though that rain is falling, the wets just cannot cool down enough. And now the top 3, all slick runners. Andre onto the podium as he's got past Hooverson through Hollywood, down the Craner curves now. And it'll only be this lap or maybe the next lap before Maroc makes it the top 4 slick runners.
Yeah, all to play for here. I mean, Joff has got a 21-second gap to the first. Oh, you were just calling it Marat. Again, touches a wet patch. It's all about touching these wet patch for the dry compound tires, and Joff is doing an incredible job at keeping away from it. But he's got a 22-second gap to the first runner of the wet compound tires now. He's got Grabowski and Andre to block him off from those wet compounds. So even if they do start to make errors and they do start to, underperform due to the wet track, it is a long distance that Hooverson and Dragota have got to work up. And here comes Marat onto Dragota just after spinning. He's already within attacking distance and moves up into the top 5. And this is officially it. Hooverson is about to be pushed to the top, to the final of the top 5 from first all the way down, just due to a strategy miscalculation. And I think even at this point now, Matthew, even if it starts to rain to the point of the track becoming unbearable for the slicks, it is only 5 minutes. It's about 2.5 laps that they've got to hold on for. I think it's manageable at this pro level.
We've seen the difference in that the 5 or 6 seconds that the slick tyre is quicker than the wet tyre at the moment. If that then starts to flip, where the wet tyre only becomes quicker than the slicks by 5 or 6 seconds, it's not enough. It's not enough for Hooverson to win this race. Joff has drove to perfection in this one. What a strategy call from Marley Joff, who at the beginning part of the race was down in 6th place. He qualified 4th, he was down in 6th, he didn't have a great start to the race at all, and now Marley Joff is flying out there at the moment. This is down for 18th place. This is Holzband against Dunnett, and Holzband stays ahead for the time being, just ahead of them. Look, Ballas Pala, 16th place, just struggling on his wet tyres in these conditions at the moment. 4.5 minutes to go in this race. Here comes Russell Soto attacking Ballas Pala now to the outside of Redgate corner. Pala just trying to squeeze him and contact, and Soto into the wall. And again, kind of a 50-50 incident for me. Soto turn across Pala. Pala's trying to squeeze Soto.
And Soto ends up in the wall. Big damage, no rear wing, no bonnet on the front of that. And we'll get another look at this one.
Yeah, so Soto left-hand side trying to get past and just trying to get past the wet compound runner. Again, Soto on that dry compound tire does, I don't know, a bit of a racing incident. Not our one to judge, fortunately. That'll be up to the stewards, but very, very close racing between the two of them. Unfortunately, that is a very broken car. And with only a couple of minutes left, that is Soto's race done and dusted. But I think it's officially over. There's 3 minutes left to go. 4 minutes left to go. Joff has got over 20 seconds to the first wet runner, and he's just continuing to extend the gap. It is. I see Grabowski is actually gaining on Joff now. It was 9 seconds. It's down to 7. So Grabowski is finding a little bit more traction now. I think he's abusing the curbs as they become more dry. Possibly.
I tell you what I think it more possibly is here, Tristan. This is possibly Marley Joff managing the race. Doesn't want to get onto that wet stuff. Doesn't want to make a mistake by driving on the wet stuff. Grabowski, he doesn't want to settle for second. He wants to win this race. So he's pushing a little harder to catch Marley Joff. You see that spray coming back. That was offline still. You saw of Hooverson and Dragota a moment ago. Nearly on the grass to cool the tyres down on the start straight. That is where they was. But yeah, I think this is more Marley Joff just managing his race to make sure he doesn't touch and do what Rold has done there and go through the wet patches of offline and go off.
Yeah, the wet patches are going to be the biggest enemy in today's racing. It is the number one reason of not picking the dries, but there are so many other reasons of picking dries here. And I mean, Joff, Grabowski, Andre, and Marat have all proved it to get themselves. And I believe this might be one of the best finishes for Andre up in third position. I don't think we've seen him on the podium yet this season. And he's doing an incredible job, and he's made the correct strategy choice. There is now just about 2 minutes left of racing, about a lap and a half left. It all depends on where Joff is out on track, as we're about to breach to that 2 minute marker. He currently comes, I believe, there he comes now through, that is now through
just under Starkey's bridge. He's just coming up towards McLean's now, so he's got about half a lap to go. So it'll be this and potentially one more.
Yeah, one more lap to go after this one. So not white flag territory just yet. He's got some lap traffic he's got to manage. Thankfully, he can get past quite swiftly. That almost looks like it's Peterson again. It's not, though. It's one of the effect simulation cars, I believe. Or no, apologies, not effect simulations, but onto the back straight he goes now, coming towards the S's. And this is great running from Marat. I mean, here we go. It is just about to breach the minute and a half left. And once he comes across the checkered flag, it is going to be the final lap. White flag will be waved for Joff after he crosses the checkered flag. AJ Rosselli is now on the backside of Peterson, and he's about to gain this. It's the dry versus wet yet again, and the dry compound tyre is going to have the advantage over Peterson.
And this is not what Peterson needs. He was Joff's closest championship challenger in this race going into it, and coming out of it, Joff's going to win the race, and Peterson could be down in P8 in a moment, because this is Rosselli, who's got much more grip than Peterson. Down to 8th goes the Danish driver. Torchio's not a million miles away to go as well, with the upper hand of that slick tyre. Now, where can Rosselli finish? He's only 5 seconds off the back of Dragota. It's about 5 seconds a lap quicker that the slick tyre is than the wets, or it was a few laps ago. We'll see if it still is. But yes, so far so good. Andre has got Marox on the back of him, hunting him down as we come up towards McLean's again for Marley Joff. There is Marox on the back of Andre with a bit of lap traffic in front. This is not what Andre needs at this stage of the circuit.
No, definitely not. And as you can see now, last lap basically, 3/10 to go between the two of them, Andre and Marat. And this is going to be a bit of a difficult one. We're just talking about Andre getting his first podium possibly, and they are behind a bit of a back marker territory over here. Let's hope they don't get pushed off track. It is very side by side between the two of them. Hopefully, Andre can put a bit of distance here between himself and Marat. He wants this podium spot. It is his first and only one that he would be able to get here. Joff, though, on the other hand, the 1 hour clock has officially reached it, and he comes through Melbourne, the Melbourne hairpin now, up towards Goddard's, and this will be it for Marley Joff. Marat gets a black flag penalty. That's Marat falling off, unfortunately, on the final lap. And now Marley Joff, through Goddard's he will go, and he will take the win after a massive strategy pull. Great spotting from his team. Marley Joff takes the win here at Donington Park.
He does indeed. Grabowski will come home for second place, and Peterson's down to 9th with Rold, Brown and Panisia on the back of him coming into the dying stages of this Donington Park race. Grabowski has crossed the line second. Where will Marox finish in this race? That's going to be the biggest question. Will that help Peterson out by giving him an extra place after the penalty at the end? We'll wait and see. It will do, says Jim Cunningham. As here comes Andre then for, we believe, his first podium of the season. Great stuff. Peterson's now down to 10th in this race because Rold has got past him. Hooverson's got Dragotta and Rosselli on the back. Rosselli could try and get past the wet runners. Hooverson's now got a black flag at the very end. So that will give Rosselli the top 5. Will finish. It won't actually because Dragotta's now past Hooverson on the circuit. So it's all going on. So Hooverson will have a black flag. Marox will have a black flag. That will help Peterson out no end. And to the line comes everybody else. Is Peterson. He's down in 12th as he crosses the line. And we just wait to see where that black flag finishes. Put Peterson at the end for this championship fight going into next week.
I think one of the more annoyed drivers would be Zurich, trying to go for the undercut all the way at the beginning of the race, going onto the wet tyre because he saw the track was still wet, and down in 14th position due to a strategy error. And strategy is so crucial in racing. You don't think about it. You think that just setting the blistering lap times is good enough. But unfortunately, especially in the rain, if you don't set that correct strategy, well, you turn out, unfortunately, like Zurich, down in 14th position, all the way from the top in the podiums down to 14th due to the strategy. And that is so unfortunate. So Rosselli will definitely get a position. Dragotta will definitely move up into 4th position. Lots and lots of changes in the final part of this race.
And let's see what happens when we get the final classifications. But my, oh my, what a Donington Park that has been. That is a Donington Park for one of the classic Donington Park races there with the weather. But it's Marley Joff, your race winner from Dennis Grabowski. Guillaume Andre will be P3 from Leo Dragotta, 4th. Rosselli P5 from Torchio. Rolled 7th. Panisia P8 from Cameron Brown. Peterson will get P10. Tyler Carr 11th. Zurich will get 12th from Kyle Robertson. Marox down to 14th with his penalty. Tyler King, Holzband and Hooverson down in 17th after that penalty. What a shame for him.
Very, very unfortunate for him. Pala 18th. Zohair Ahmad will take 19th. Ty Dunnett 20th. Lucas Souza 21st. And Souza down, unfortunately, one lap down. Miles Brown out of Singh. Paul Nye 24th. Andrew Herschel 25th. Russell Soto 26th. And Anthony Cuthbert down in 27th. Caden Presley 28th position. Unfortunately, the remainder of these drivers not finishing today's race. Joe Manzoli, Chris Wetz, and Elliot Court. None of them finishing in today's racing. But my goodness, what a change of events things happened. I mean, we saw it from the AM race. It was looking pretty stable, a nice wet day, and then it just completely changed in the pro race. And what a great strategy being pulled, and great spotting as well from the team at FX Simulations for Marley Joff to take the win.
Indeed. And Chris, if you are listening to this, that's why Donington Park was on the calendar, because it has provided a great strategy race here, especially in the pro category. The AMs had it pretty simple. Drive to the 35-minute mark, do your pit stop, come back out, finish the race. It was wet the entirety. That pro race, in terms of strategy of not only fuel saving, but when to go on that slick tyre, masterclass from Marley Joff.
Absolute masterclass. I don't know if Shay's still here with us. He dipped out a bit earlier. Shay, are you still here with us? I don't think. No, it doesn't seem like Shay's still here with us. Just wanted to ask him on his opinion of today's racing, because I think everyone's going to have a different view on this. And I mean, we're currently just waiting for a couple of our interviews to come in. Currently, no one is here as of yet. We'll give it a couple of minutes, but I mean, just to talk us through this, I mean, wow. Really, really did prove us. And to think this is the second last round, we hit to the penultimate round. This was a huge round for points, Matthew. Yeah. I mean, and Marley Joff, like we mentioned, it obviously didn't finalize his win here, but it definitely has pushed him to take that title home.
And that's the thing. I think if you have to sum up the night, you look at Dianarine in the AM category, takes the race win, sits himself in a really good position going into next week in the AM category. Same for Marley Joff in the pro. He took a gamble on this strategy. Yes, it's paid off, but it's put him now in such a good position going into Imola, especially with Peterson down in 10th place. It's put him in such a good position to go into next week. Don't forget, it's the format B for next week. So it'll be the 25-minute and the 35-minute race for next time out. So 2 sprint races effectively, because I don't believe, if my memory serves me correct, they don't make the pit stops in them. So it is so much in Dianarine and Joff's hands in AM and Pro
going into these final couple of races.
Yeah, next week's going to be intense. The 25-minute sprint race and then the 35-minute top 8 reversed feature race, and that's at Imola. Imola is also a great circuit, very balanced for all of our cars. It's a nice technical circuit, but with a lot of straights for them to lots of straights for the top speed cars to bring advantage. And then Laguna. I'm not going to lie to you, Laguna, a bit more of a complicated circuit out there, and a bit of a wild card circuit, and that's back to Format A. So what we've seen here tonight. Unfortunately, we are going to be wrapping up tonight. It doesn't look like anyone's going to be joining us in the commentary box. We've given it a couple of minutes, but we unfortunately can't leave the air going for too long without having a chat with anyone. So we are going to wrap up tonight's racing. But as I mentioned, we head to Imola next week and Laguna Seca. I think we've already given our final thoughts. Matthew, anything else you want to say for today's racing at Donington?
No, for Donington Park, well, I've seen many a great race at Donington Park in the real life motor racing world, and that there on the sim racing, that's just provided another Donington classic for me. That was been fantastic. This is why I asked Chris to put Donington on the calendar, because yes, this time of year you're gonna get that wet weather come in, it's gonna play its part. I didn't expect the changeable conditions when we saw the forecast. I thought it was going to be wet all the way through, but it was dry. What a fantastic Donington Park. Hopefully the power in the house is sorted properly for next week, so we can be back up in the studio upstairs and fully ready to go with all the monitors for the timings and everything. But yeah, Tristan, been an absolute pleasure once again. And Donington Park, whew, what a beauty.
Yeah, what a beauty indeed. It's been great. And I've, like I said, I've also done a couple of races here in ACC and iRacing. Really good track. And I think the way the differences have really proved to bring the racing alive out here for both the AM and the Pro class here tonight. But that'll be all for tonight. We'll see you next week at Imola for Format B. Thank you once again to all the amazing sponsors who are here for Foxxtecca, the League by Foxxtecca for season number 2. Thank you to everybody who joined us in the virtual grandstand and keeping everything alive. And we'll see you next week out on track at Imola for the penultimate round of the League by Foxxtecca. Have a good night. Cheerio.
Bye-bye.